Tony sprung into the room today, into the morning today, because he came in careening from last night because he had an idea last night that he would connect with the old guys on scrolling through the channels, old school scrolling through the channels. And he comes up and he's like, Dan, I got a top five movies I'll stop on every time if I'm old school scrolling through the channels.
Wow. Now hold the phone here. Is this modern day scrolling on the guide, or is this back in the 90s? I'm
Flipping
going
channels.
one channel at a time.
It's the new version of old
modern scrolling.
Right. It's the modern reinvention of the scroll, which is obviously we can't go. I have a smart controller, right? So I can't go channel by channel.
Do you go down the guide one by one, or do you do page down?
No, one by one. So I'm on the guide on
down?
Hulu, right? I'm on the guide on Hulu. I'm going down, and I'm like, Squawk on the Street, okay, no biggie, all right, MSNBC, who cares, whatever. And then I get to a movie, and I'm like, it's halfway through. But I will stop on it every single time, which made me think, what movies would I stop on every single time they're on?
Tony's worked hard this year. Like, I feel like he shouldn't have to work today, and maybe he could just go home, like get a long, like, Thanksgiving
This is
break.
the only day I'm on this week.
No, I mean, but you worked hard. Like, you've earned it. Like, Tony's top whatevers and Tony Tonights and all that.
Nights.
Like, Sunday nights. Like, it's not fair that Tony has to be in today. I feel like maybe just, get up. Thanks, Tony.
Way to go, Tone.
Thankful for you. We're so gracious and thankful for you this year. Why don't you just kick it up and put your feet up? You've earned this rest.
But I like to
home
work.
early.
I like working. Though.
Yeah, work from home.
But if I go home, I'm not on the show, and then I can't give my top fives. Can't give my takes.
I know, but like
we saw Gladiator. I have takes on Gladiator. I know Mike does.
Wow.
Yeah, but you've worked hard enough, man.
No, but
you deserve a break.
No, but see, that's the thing.
Recharge the battery so you come back in
I already
maybe
did.
next Wednesday, next week.
You need it,
Recharge and ready to go. Yeah,
schedule
look
will
at
probably
you.
be on next Friday.
I mean, the bag's under your eyes, man. You deserve a break.
The kid's not even here yet.
I know. That's why you got to start charging it up now so that you have the batteries recharged for that baby. Just head home.
We've been together a long time, 20 years, and there's some resentment from the old school on having to work this week.
I mean, we say it every year. We're not going to work the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And every year, it's the same 5 of us working the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
That's why I'm not working next week.
I remember last year, the Wednesday before, we all kind of were like, not next year. And yet here we are.
Here we are. Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. The number of times this has happened, I'm going to say it's a dozen where I'm complaining to someone in my life, and I'm like, I own the company. So you think, right, that the things that I would say would then just happen, right? And everyone bursts out in laughter in my face like, no, what did you expect? How are we still here? How are we still here with just Tony's top 5 scrolling through the channels? Billy doesn't want to be here. We've been doing this shit for a long time.
Falsehood.
No, Billy wants to be here. He just doesn't want Tony
No, I
here.
wanna be-
Right.
No, that's not true. Just Tony deserves a break.
I got yelled at by my wife last night because I paused again on the Italian Job.
Ooh.
What?
Didn't make it, but
Jesus.
very good.
Again, she yelled at me, Dan, enough with Seth Green at the computer. But I'm doing it old school, TiVo style,
No.
direct TV style.
You would.
Is TiVo still a thing?
I think so.
I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on to the edges.
AOL.com,
It's
TiVo.
no, I've gotten rid of. I've got a Metal-Arc email now.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yes, but
No AOL.
You still have
You
it.
still have it. I mean,
I
I've
see
sent
those
you
texts.
emails there. I mean, come on.
I still have it.
Come on.
But it's a Metal-Arc email that I am using now. When people get emails from me, it's from a Metal-Arc email. This is the progress I have made. But I'm still on the TiVo because I like it. It's convenient, and then I'll switch over when I'm streaming. It's a whole nother place that I go. But I like to go in to DirecTV and occasionally find Casino. I'll stop on that every time. Goodfellas, I'll stop on that every time. And the Italian Job gets me every damn time. You know what else will get me every time? Smoking Aces somehow. Smoking Aces. It's terrible. And I'll stop on it for 15 minutes waiting for those guys to come out out of the elevator through the smoke with buzzsaws.
What if you're past that scene, though, when you land on it?
I still look for it because I haven't seen enough of the movie in 30 years to remember where it is. I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for the one scene. It's everybody. It's Ben Affleck. It's Ryan Reynolds. Man, Jeremy Piven was going to take Ari and Entourage to become a movie star. That was, here it is. I can carry a movie. No, you can't.
He did the goods, and that was the end of that.
I'm sorry. You don't use DirecTV anymore, Stugotz? What is your
So I had DirecTV recently, and I got rid of it because I wanted to get the Sunday ticket and the NFL package on YouTube. So now I'm a YouTube guy, and I love it. I do.
But I go between all of the places, right? I don't love so much how the YouTube algorithm grabs me and my addictions and just sends me into a spiral of the same 7 places. And next thing you know, I'm watching Norm Macdonald from 30 years ago.
Me too.
I'm watching him on Letterman and stuff. No, I'm not. The algorithm's got me, and I don't like the grip it has on me. It's uncomfortable.
About YouTube TV.
I'm saying YouTube TV,
which is its own carrier. I think you're confusing it with YouTube.
Right.
I thought they were the same thing.
They're not.
2 different apps. I learned that a month ago.
Apps, yeah.
There's the YouTube Home. That's your traditional YouTube. That's where
where the algorithm gets you.
You watch Norm Macdonald. I'm talking about YouTube TV.
Baby steps, though. You just got rid of the AOL.
Although YouTube TV does do the same thing where if you watch a channel a lot, it'll be the first channel you see.
Yes.
So there is some sort of algorithm going on there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, to start the show, I want you to empty the Thanksgiving file, okay? I want you to go into the computer system, the library that it took us millions of dollars to get from ESPN that we put to good use. I want to just sprinkle all of our Thanksgiving things, the holidays, all over the people as soon as we start the show.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go on, motherfucker, get my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Give me John Gruden first.
It's very important that I start at the rear first. This tail feather gives me speed and precision. And it's these mid feathers you got to be careful with as you go around your Super Bowl ring, you know. But these middle feathers are the brain of the outfit. And this front feather, that points the direction that this hand turkey goes.
Give me Jim Harbaugh.
I don't think there was ever a question there. I think it's just a lot of gobble, gobble turkey, you know, by just gobble, gobble, gobble turkey from jive turkey gobblers.
I don't think that was Thanksgiving related, really.
He said gobble, gobble.
Jive turkey.
That's all it takes.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick.
I mean, football, family, and foods.
Other than football, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everything. There's not much food that I don't like, so could we start with dessert? Got to leave room for everything else. So, yeah, it's great. It's a great holiday. It's a great holiday. Football, family, and football. I mean, football, family, and food. So, yeah, sign me up.
The difference in energy.
Not a lot of enthusiasm on that one. How about Andrew Luck?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Play on Thanksgiving.
That's it.
That's all you
So
got?
we just searched the word thing.
I just wanted to hear his voice. I mean, come on. With that guy, he could say anything and I'm playing it.
We
Fair
gave
enough.
up millions for this?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Play on Thanksgiving.
What about Zion Williamson being asked about his favorite dish?
Happy Thanksgiving. You get to go home tonight and then leave tomorrow evening. Give us a little glimpse into what Zion Williamson's Thanksgiving looks like.
Just spending some time with my mom, stepdad, my friends, little brother, older brother, and get on the plane and go into Memphis.
What's your favorite dish? What you looking forward to eating the most?
He trying to set me up. And no matter what answer I give, social media gonna clown me. So no comment.
I'm sorry. You know what?
It's all love.
That made me sad.
It does.
It was a benign question.
I know.
But he knew, though. He knew where the spots were. He was like, you know what? not going to answer this one.
I know, but to no comment something like as harmless as that. The kids, when we fat shamed him so much on the internet that he's not 25 years old and he's already hiding from our questions.
What is Kendrick Lamar like on Thanksgiving?
Give me Les Miles describing the perfect last bite.
A little bit of the turkey and gravy and some of the stuffing that would be there, and maybe just a smidgen of that cranberry stuff.
A lot of these guys are problematic now.
Mike, Jeremy's not here. You don't have to say it. It's okay.
I feel like I have to speak for him.
You don't have to. You don't have to. It's okay.
For him.
Stugotz has been distracted for the last 2 days. Yesterday was a giant day for the company, for Stugotz. He was floored. I saw him counting numbers all day. Stugotz's personal record book climbed up the charts. I see it here, Stugotz. Somebody sent me a note. I don't know. What's that portal you've been checking in on?
It's an author's portal, Dan. You'll perhaps, if you write a book one day, you'll get one. But I have one because I'm an author.
That's right.
Yeah.
And his personal record book currently sits at number 7 on the bestseller list in Amazon Sports and Outdoors category, still trailing The Backyard Bird Chronicles, Hockey Romance, and How to Survive a Frickin' Bear Attack.
Yeah, we'll take care of them. We will. We're number 1 in many, many places. Sports essays, sports sociology. We're top 500 in all books, which is insane. I am super grateful and thankful to the audience, to everyone who helped with the book, and to the audience who came through and purchased the book during pre-sale and yesterday. It was really cool to see. So thank you to everyone.
Sports sociology, huh?
Yeah, I have no idea how it made it there, but I'll take it number 1. I don't care what – listen, I do not care what the category is. You put my book number 1 in that category, I'm good with it.
There will be no way, no avenue from which this can be undercut. Stugotz is an accomplished author now officially, and he's climbing up the bestseller list. That's not up for dispute. I've seen some of the numbers. He's exploding. Our audience, as we've known for a long time, is like super, super loyal, and so he's sold tens of thousands of books in an industry where it's hard to do that these days because that's not how it generally works, and he's just getting started. I don't know if bestseller lists include pre-order. If they do, he will absolutely be a bestseller. If it includes 6 months of sales, because we didn't just unleash, a lot of people bought before yesterday. Yesterday is just when Stugotz starts seeing the numbers. Have you negotiated the parts of this? Because the book industry is notorious for not giving accurate numbers to the people who are selling when they negotiate percentages on if their book does well.
We have negotiated. I told you the story that Mike Schur, who was really great during this process, I have no idea. I don't know the inner workings of the book industry. He does. He introduced me to a guy named Richard Abadi, who is his literary agent and friend, and so I trust Richard in whatever he did. However he structured that deal, I trust Richard. So I feel good about it. I really do. I feel great about the sale of the book. Greg and I are going to do a signing next week. I'm very excited about this at a church.
How about this? Yes, the bookstore was too small for Greg and Stugotz, so they're doing it at a church instead nearby because the bookstore can't handle the amount of traffic that's going in there because now Stugotz is about to be a best-selling author. But I saw the group yesterday, Stugotz. I saw them recoil in some places with shame because you knew so little about your own book.
Wow.
And I was disappointed that we didn't do a better job yesterday in getting a bunch of guests and people to make a bigger noise than the one that we did with a lot of strategic targeting stuff. But what I learned, because I tried to get someone today from Random House to come on and tell the story of what it was like to deal with Stugotz. And I was told, Dan, that's a bridge too far. I don't even know. I don't even know what that expression means exactly. What is the origination?
I've never heard of going a bridge too far.
We know.
What does it mean, though? What does a bridge too far mean? Like, I know what it means, but where's it from? Is it from war? Is a bridge too far away? Random House says, well, I'm not going to quote Random House here, but I wanted to get somebody on to explain, Stugotz, what Billy astutely noticed yesterday is absolutely so. I don't think in the history of Random House they've ever had somebody who doesn't deliver the audio book when the book is being sold.
Right.
Like Random House is legitimately mad at Stugotz, and so I can't get somebody on the show to talk about this.
They're actually not mad at me at all. But anyway, go ahead.
I did some digging, and I was told this is the first time that's ever happened.
So what happened?
I paused the audiobook because as I was doing it, I said to myself, this doesn't meet any standards that we have as a show to entertain our audience. And so I just figured there was a better way to do it. And I asked them politely, can we pause the production of it and release it later because I would like to do something a little bit different. That's all.
So you have standards now when it comes to the book?
Well,
You didn't even write it.
Listen, I was upset with I was putting myself to sleep reading the book. And so I just figured.
But you should have
terrible sell job.
No, because that's not the right way to
write the book.
That's not the right way to do an audio book.
Your own book put you to sleep?
Well, I was hoping that Dan would read it, and you guys, we're here now. Because I wanted everyone on the show involved in the reading of the audiobook. I thought that would be good for the listeners.
Yeah, more
and
outsourcing would have been nice.
Yeah, more. Well, I was going to pay the people who are working on this show to do that.
Source, just trust me, bro.
You're now off the list.
I was definitely going to get that check.
I will say this, unintentionally, this is going to work out great for you because, like, 6 months from now or when it comes out, then people are going to be like, I want to buy that. Like, I should pay for this new, and now you're here's the thing, you're saying too much because now you're promising you're not just reading the book, you're promising some other show involved
I'm
thing.
not saying too much. I got a plan. I'm okay. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, Billy.
Just don't overpromise here is what I'm saying.
Random House has dealt with massive personalities
right.
in every facet of life and entertainment.
Yes.
And you're the first person that didn't deliver an audiobook when it was expected.
Yeah.
That's not a badge of
first
honor.
for everything, I mean.
Update on a bridge too far comes from a comment made by Lieutenant General Frederick Boyd Browning during World War II's Operation Market Garden.
It also comes from a title of a 1974 book.
Based on the Operation Market Garden, which looks to me like a situation in the Netherlands where they were trying to occupy Nazi something.
All right,
or other
you
in World
really
War
got
II.
caught up in the air there. Look,
Yeah, so I was trying to find it.
Tony,
You
Tony,
say you have it,
He's
you
tired,
gotta
man.
have
This
it.
guy doesn't stop working.
No, I'll tell you what just happened to Tony, okay? He got caught up in the air. The show was in his lap, and he saw the word Nazi in front of him, and he's like, I should have read this before I got here.
Yeah, proofread.
I should have read it.
In the context of World War II, I'm good.
Yeah, but
you'll learn, Tony.
That is a proper context for Nazis.
Yeah, Tony, when you grab the show like that, don't have the word Nazi in front of you. As I was saying, I thought it would be a great interview to talk to the person at Random House to get what the facts are here, because I don't actually know what is true. I'm guessing what happened.
Here are the facts. I'm a #1 bestseller. They've never seen more books sold in the sports category in their entire life.
That can't be true.
Here are the facts. I wrote a book.
These are facts.
Why don't you guys stop digging around and just be happy for me for a change? Let's just celebrate the book. We did this. I didn't do it. Well, Stanzik did it. But we did this. Our show did this. We created an audience that was so large that it would put me #1 in several categories on Amazon. Can't we just be happy for me?
We are happy.
Can't we be happy for Stanzik? Can't we be happy for Greg Cody? Can't we be happy for the millions of people who contributed to this wonderful book?
This is the way a pathological liar gets you to deflect off of the topic.
Well,
he's squirming. He doesn't like the bright light.
Not at all.
The swinging bright light of interrogation. I think, honestly, there might be, just maybe, an ounce of shame.
Shame?
No.
None whatsoever. Nah.
Stan thing, no shame at all yesterday with the Stan thing, because I was like, my skin was crawling.
Well, listen, I haven't gotten that far in the audiobook yet. Stan's is at the very end there in response to Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr. By the way, I meant to tell Stan, he would have won 6 titles with Michael Jordan. He knows that.
I've never seen a book tour in which the author listed on the book is surprised by what's in the book.
Well, I mean, that was I didn't write that.
I think my favorite part was when he said it's chapter 31. You go, 31? That's like 15 chapters too long.
But, like, you get manuscripts, right? Like, your name's on it. Like, as these chapters are being written, you're not doing any kind of quality control?
No,
he didn't read the forward. I
read the forward. I just couldn't get all the way through. That's all.
So he didn't read the forward.
It's hurtful.
And the thing
Bit
that
wordy.
the thing that I wanted to get to, because I genuinely don't know what happened here, and he doesn't want us too close to this. But the audiobook was supposed to come out with the book. And I think what probably happened is he put it off to the end, started doing it the last 2 weeks, didn't feel good to him, and he's like, I'm not going to get this done in time, and then he blew the deadline. I'm guessing that's what's happened. I've got no information. I wanted to talk to somebody at Random House because I thought it would be funny to explore this as content.
That's a bridge too far.
Well, it's just now there's something that doesn't feel good to him about this. So, like, it's just
well,
a weird
you guys
time
interrogating me.
It's just a weird time for quality control to pop up when you're writing a book.
It was actually Dan, and he said it yesterday. There's probably a better way to do an audiobook, and he got me thinking. And so I thought about a better way to perhaps do the audiobook, and I floated the idea past him.
Stugots, we can't abide by this lie. Dan yesterday convinced you to stop recording an audiobook that you stopped recording several days ago?
Weeks ago. Like, are you listening to me, Mike? Weeks ago.
Yeah,
Dan
but
talked about it yesterday.
Just used Dan's
Mike, are you
point.
listening?
This is not helping.
What?
Weeks ago, Dan said during a break, there's probably a better way to do the audiobook. And so he got me thinking, there's probably a better way to do the audiobook.
Was there a better way to do the book?
Yeah, bruh, no. I mean, the book is selling like crazy. I'm happy with the book. The book's great. I never wanted to write a book. Stanzik wanted to write a book. He wrote a book. He put my name on it.
We're all tired. Obviously, Tony, you should go home.
I mean,
Tony should go.
Tony, get out of here.
Christ,
Everyone's
get out of
tired
here.
here. Get
My
out of here.
God. Jesus.
This is what happens Thanksgiving with families.
It's unbelievable. You have us working on this Wednesday before no one wants to be here, and I'm being interrogated.
I'm in the middle of it selling,
by
selling
people
your book.
Oh,
We're
jeez,
making
get out
your
of here.
book a bestseller.
I sold my book. Thank you.
We're selling
Whoa,
your book.
what?
I sold my book.
I mean, Roy, too. Me and Roy, we sold the book.
I was told they were scrambling today to look for one of your books to promote today, and the only one we got was like the prop with no words in it.
Yeah, I don't have the books are at home right now. I have some ideas with those as well.
What ideas do you have with those?
But I do not appreciate being interrogated.
I wanted
the
to
day after I released a book. You guys should be proud of me.
We are proud of you. We are proud of you. How much
Jesus.
prouder do you want us to be of you? And also, you're a scam artist.
I don't know. You can't, like, the whole vibe around this book is that you didn't do anything, and you're getting defensive over people like, so you didn't actually do the things?
You're reaching out to Random House. Like, stay out of my business. Do me a favor. I stay out of your business. I don't get into Mike's Kane's business.
I'm not doing private investigating. I'm trying to book our show.
I support everyone and everything.
Stugotz.
You tell a bad joke, I laugh.
Stugotz, I'm sitting here trying to book
ridiculous takes. I support them.
Stugotz, I'm trying to book a guest to promote your book because
You're
yesterday
trying to book a guest that embarrasses me, not to promote a book.
No, the same
That's
way.
what you're
the
trying.
way Stanzik
Tell
embarrassed
Sullivan
you.
to stay out of my
The
business.
same way that Stanzik embarrassed you. Like, it's the same thing.
Listen, I am on to Sullivan. He's the only person from this company who actually reached out and offered actual help, okay?
Sullivan,
so that I appreciate.
Stugotz.
But really all Sullivan wanted was PR contacts. And listen, stay out of my business, Sullivan. You got it?
Sullivan
Enough.
was trying to plan a big party for you yesterday
Yeah,
and couldn't get you to do
Love
any
Sully.
of the things.
Yep.
And we didn't have any guests yesterday to talk about your big day.
What about Steve Healy?
I mean, Sully he's one of the greats. I mean, but seriously, stay out of my business. I mean, want to throw me a party, that's one thing. Throw me a party, I appreciate it. I'll be there at the party,
why don't you just
maybe.
tell us what happened with the audiobook? Just what happened? What really happened?
I just told you what happened.
But Stugotz, I told you 4 days ago there was a better way to do the audiobook.
Now it's 4 days
It was
ago.
when we were talking about like Cody doing a voice or Mina doing a voice for the show. It was like 4 days ago. It wasn't like keep track of your lies. What really happened here?
You're really upset I'm a best-selling author, huh? I mean, jeez.
He's selling selling out a church. You know how long I've wanted to do that? Sell out a church with a book I didn't actually write because my friends wrote it.
How'd you land on a church?
Well, I mean, we were supposed to do it at Books and Books, and they said that the response was so overwhelming they needed to move locations to a church. So I was going to ask Dan to MC it, but I don't want to infringe on his time. I mean, there's a better way to do, a book signing at a church, and it's with Dan. But Greg and I are very excited about this, and we're looking forward to it. It's a chance for our listeners to come out. We'll sign the books. We'll have some fun.
When's the last time you were in a church?
When's the last time I was in a bookstore? I mean, I think the church was probably Mike Ryan's wedding. I saved that wedding, by the way. And this is what I do for my friends on the show, the people that I care about. Mike's getting married. The wedding dress gets caught in a nail, and who is there outside smoking a heater? It's me, right outside the church, and I unhooked it.
It was a heroic act of grace, and all I remember from Mike's wedding, the day he announced his love to his wife, is Stugotz, the hero, not putting out the butt in the back of her dress, but because he was outside smoking a cigarette, he just pulled it off, and all of us salute him. It was his day, really. It wasn't Cynthia's day. It is why I really do believe that this whole thing has the chance to be the greatest joke ever told by this show. I mean, are you kidding me? He's going to we tried to save Highlight. He's going to conquer publishing. He doesn't know how to read. Charles Barkley before this was famously quoted as saying, I was misquoted in my own autobiography. It was his autobiography. He was claiming to have been misquoted. Stugotz didn't read this book. There could be things in there, like this book has not been read by Stugotz.
Stanza could have said anything. I mean,
I don't think half of the book has been read by Stugotz. And to sell
more than half,
tens of thousands of copies in publishing? Are you kidding? Are you shitting me? Seriously, think about what he's done to sell tens of thousands of books. Like, who the hell's doing that now?
No one.
I was told he blew past every goal that they had set for this book, so much so that I found yesterday when I arrived here a very sad Thomas in the lobby, because somehow Thomas doesn't have a fob, which I don't understand. So he's just waiting around to run into someone to let him upstairs.
What? Same. Yeah.
And Thomas just has a bag of blank shirts, and I was like, what is this, Thomas? Like, oh, we had this bit set up that we were going to do to promote the book today, but Stugotz said that we blew past all the goals, so we don't need to do it anymore. So poor Thomas now just has a bunch of blank shirts that he has nothing to do with while he waits in the lobby for someone to let him upstairs. I don't know.
We were going to do like a book-a-thon, which I believe we're still planning on doing it next week, just selling books. Like, it's like a telethon meets the Boiler Room. It would have been something like that. Yeah, free cruises to the top sales guy.
But they don't go to him.
But they never get the cruise.
I want to interview Thomas. I don't understand why he doesn't have a fob. Please explain to me why it is that he's sad because Stugotz is selling well. He doesn't like that Stugotz. I'm not understanding why everyone here wouldn't be thrilled for Stugotz.
We had a bit planned out yesterday to do on the show with Thomas and with Taylor, and I kind of nuked it because the sales of the book kind of nuked it. We didn't really need to do the bit, and Thomas wanted to do the bit, and he was upset by that.
Well, there was someone else involved, too, because I saw a suit here. Like, someone brought a suit into work to do this bit and then left with the suit still on the hanger and a dry cleaning tag. So someone dry cleaned a suit for this bit, and then, the plug was pulled on it.
I wasn't sad that we nuked the bit. I was sad where I was made a little bit, I had feelings was... I was happy for Stu, but the plan was really started to get cemented at around 8:30, 9 o'clock on Tuesday night or Monday night.
He was hard to get a hold of. Sully, we had a little difficulty corralling Stugotz to promote his own book.
Again, Sully's just trying to get contacts from me. Thomas and I spoke 8:30, 9 o'clock. We did. I was. In fact, Thomas is the one who's hard to get a hold of. But
wow, that's not true.
Well, I mean, because he, the phone doesn't work well where he is, and so he always calls me right back. He's great with that.
Probably
Thomas
at
is
dinner.
great.
No, he's right about that. Sometimes on Sunday night, I try to find Thomas.
Yeah,
I'm more
nowhere
around
to be
than
found.
people are.
Thomas is the most available person here. People are getting him all around the clock. So much so, and Thomas won't tell you this, he was up until 1 a.m. on on Monday working on the bit, which is why he was extra sad that it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, but Thomas, now we have more planning, okay? So spend the entire Thanksgiving weekend working out the kinks, all right?
I wrote one of the best sales scripts that anyone's ever written to cold call and sell his book, and I stand by.
Is that just your assessment of what you wrote?
Anyone in this room, if I gave them the sales script, they could make a call, and they could sell Stugotz' book to a stranger, cold call.
Yeah.
Obviously, let's do that. Obviously.
That was the plan.
So
Okay.
we just blindly follow your script that you wrote?
Yes, if you stick to the script, you get sales. I learned it on all the sales floors I used to work on.
Yes.
You stick to the script.
Boiler room.
And that's how you get sales. When you start to deviate, that's when calls don't go
Stick
as well.
to the script.
Yes.
Stick to it.
We were going to have a big whiteboard. We write our trades up on the board. We cut a tie for the first trade, right? That's what you do traditionally at big shops.
We bought a bell.
Yeah, we bought a bell.
We have a bell.
So listen, we have Monday. We're going to do this, and so again, you and I can spend the entire
we're going to
weekend.
do it today. We're going to do it today. We're going to.
I don't need to sell books today.
Time. Yeah, Tony's going home soon.
Yeah, we need to
go
wait.
home
Not
soon.
today.
We're gonna find a way to do
Bad arm
this.
week
today. Yeah. Not a good day today.
Bad arm week you just threw in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look.
The ABCs, Tom, right? You got it? Okay.
Exactly.
Thomas, I need you to leave now with all of your feelings. Thank you for joining us.
Look forward to Monday, Thomas.
I want to execute the sale of Stugotz's book because I do want this to continue to sell well. And I was surprised yesterday as I left because I was confused. Stugotz had asked me for patience on today's show, that we were going to do a lot of different things. And then the show got here and we didn't do anything. We just talked about his book.
Steve Healy.
And so I was confused as I was leaving. And Stugotz was like, well, I didn't need to sell any books because we sold a bunch. And I'm thinking to myself, but could have used the content. Like could have used the content of.
But I had the sales. I mean.
Yeah, but.
So it was never about my book.
So all we got was Steve Healy.
Just content.
Well, it's about selling the book.
I've never provided content before, so it really wasn't about selling the book. You needed additional content. We sold the book yesterday. You did good. We did good. We had Stan reading the book. I didn't know what part he was reading. I didn't know where to tell him to read, but Stan was reading his book.
I know. And we all are celebrating.
My book. Our book. The group's book. It's everyone's book. It's the people's book. I make the money, but it's the people's book. And Thomas.
I have never actually.
He's not making money.
I can't remember the last time I saw shame in that room on Stugotz's behalf.
What percentage is Stanzik getting of this?
80-20.
I will not share.
Ooh, you're getting close to the bone on that one, Chris Cody.
I'm not sharing. I would gladly tell you. I don't think Stanzik would like me to tell you. I don't mind. Also, stay out of my business. I mean, who are you, Sullivan?
There you go.
Jesus. I mean,
how do we corral Sullivan?
Well,
Look, there are a bunch of producers running around here. One of them's got a fob, another one doesn't. And he comes in here with his feelings. A whole bunch of people trying to produce you guys. And what happens? They bring in a dry clean suit and go home sad, and they don't have a fob. And they leave to a parking garage because the 10 bits they executed all weekend because they care about the show, they brought to Stugotz, and he farted on all of them and sold thousands of books while doing it.
Yeah. It's accurate. I brought the bits to them. I mean, but it's okay. I mean, we digress. Thomas is great. I mean, he's a keeper. Let me tell you that right now. That guy is smart. That guy is sharp. Taylor, too. Fantastic. And cheap. I mean, I got to tell you, both of
them. Thomas cares a great, great deal. Thomas reminds me of our youth.
Also, this 1 a.m. thing. I mean, stick to a deadline. What are we doing? I mean, deadlines are important, man. They really are. I mean, someone gives you a deadline, you gotta produce at the deadline. You know,
book wasn't really a surprise to anyone. Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So, Stugotz's defense.
Wasn't hiding it.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Tony, where do you stand on all of this? Because I feel like we lost you since Nazis, and I thought
Jesus, I saved the wedding. Aqua?
I thought that you were here to support Stugotz, and I haven't heard from you since you got scared of the word Nazi on your computer.
I'm with Stugotz, 100%. Stugotz is like me in high school, where we used to do these group projects, and I would be kind of the team leader of the group project, but not do the work, right? So I would be great at getting everybody together. All right, Mike, you got the first paragraph. Chris Cody, you're doing the bibliography. Roy, you're doing the pictures on the back.
Team
Billy,
leader,
you're doing the board. Everybody break on 2, let's go. And then I would present the actual thing of the work that everybody else did, but I was the one presenting. I would bring, Dan, this is a pro move, by the way, Dan. This gets the teacher every single time. I had broken off an antenna off a radio, like a little hand radio, and what I would do is when we would open up the little thing, I'd go whoosh. I'd open up the thing and then I'd go pointing at the different pieces. The teacher would be like
Pat McAfee on game day. He has
yeah,
that really
exactly.
long
So the long pointer, I would have that.
Can I get that character, please? I'd
Yeah,
like him.
I could sell the book. I could sell the book for Stugotz.
I know you can. Yeah,
that's easy. I could sell Ice to an Eskimo, Dan.
Yeah. We don't need that now, though, but perhaps next
Monday.
week to Monday.
Yeah,
Monday. You're in Monday. You're
Yeah.
complaining about how many days a week. Monday, I need you.
All right, we're selling books
You're part
Monday.
of the sales team, okay?
Okay, perfect.
I'm giving away a cruise, okay? Power hour.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Wait, what?
Stugotz.
Hold
Like,
on.
in every sales force, there's a power hour.
You definitely cannot say that.
Hold on, Stugotz.
Wait a minute.
Hold on,
To the
Stugotz.
top seller.
radio.
To the,
Not the
listen,
listeners. This is to us.
Not to
Wait
the
a
listeners.
minute.
To the top seller,
can't
I'm
say
giving
these
away a
things.
cruise. I'm going to be the top seller. I mean, I am. So I'll give myself a cruise. And if I don't give myself a cruise, I'm fine. I mean,
Stugotz, you can't promise people a cruise unless you're going to actually give them a cruise.
Well-
We have professional standards around here, even though sometimes it doesn't sound like it.
top seller gets a cruise.
Yeah, you can't really do that. No, you can be good with that, but you can't. say
I'm in the
that
lead
like
by 30,000 books presently, Dan. I mean, that could change by the time we get to Monday. I'm just telling the top seller.
I haven't taken the pointer out yet.
Thomas, Tony, Taylor. Wow. A sales team
The triple
full of
T.
T's. This
Triple
is
T.
amazing, right?
Glengarry Glenn Lavos over here.
I mean, I need an N. TNT. That would be good. I mean,
that. Who was between Glenn and Ross there?
Gary.
so listen, if anyone sells over 30,000 books, okay, on Monday, enjoy a cruise on me. How about that?
You can't do all of that.
It's a day cruise.
You
Day cruise.
You have to make your own side deal on Cameo.
No
or
drink
something.
package.
You can't just do that. You can't promise the
out.
listen. I think we have to live to the professional standards of whatever it is we used to back on AM radio when you couldn't promise the ninth caller something that you weren't going to give them, or you'd get like in trouble with the government.
Bimini and back, Dano.
I do love those.
You can promise anything, man. It's the internet. I mean,
I don't think that's the way that works. I don't think those are the rules.
perhaps the dry tortugas. I mean,
I wanted to ask Mike Ryan something.
Tortugas.
Because I see that Dave Portnoy is taking some credit for being late to Mike Ryan's game, buying quarterbacks to get into the national championship hunt.
It's not my game.
You got Cam Ward, the University of Miami's quarterback. You got yourself a 10-1 season. I felt guilt earlier this week because I'm poo-pooing.
not so fun when someone's in your business, huh, Mike? I mean,
I'm poo-pooing a season, one of the best seasons there have been. A return to the glory days, record-wise, interest-wise, argument-wise, a national team. No longer talking about is the U back or the U is back. Like, clearly, they're one of the best teams. They got one of the best quarterbacks. They got one of the best offenses. And even if they don't play anybody and you want to question them, I felt like my tone was less positive than it should be or celebratory than it should be because I can see them losing against Syracuse because road games are hard and Syracuse throws a ton and everything is up in the air now. And I don't trust their defense at all.
So the defense thing, I think I'm more aligned with you on the defense than you would think. But if you look at the numbers tell a different story. The numbers suggest that Miami, along with Tennessee, are the only teams inside the CFP that have a top 15 offense and a top 15 defense. Well, you look at that number. How does Miami have a top 15 defense? I saw their defense not get crucial stops for about a month and a half. Yeah, I mean, they got fat in the earlier part of the schedule when their defense was a little bit better, before the book was out on them and before defenses attacked their weaknesses. So let's parse through those numbers. In terms of yards per play to Power 5 teams, they're 39th. That's not bad. That's average. And all this offense needs is for that defense to be average for it to have a shot. So I actually think that if you look through the numbers, you can be more encouraged. Where I get discouraged is I know where Miami's weaknesses lie. However, Miami was doing different things. There was different personnel in that game against Wake Forest. There were different formations. That's a major adjustment. To change your formation in the middle of the season is a major adjustment. So I would be a little bit more encouraged if you really do a deep dive on these numbers.
The thing that I would say to dilute those numbers, and I have not done the deep dive. I hate to threaten the audience with a deep dive.
Into the weeds.
You did into my business. I mean.
But I did the deep dive for you, so you didn't have to.
Well, but
and Sullivan.
The diluter that I would throw on that is simply, and you tell me if you think this is fair or not, because their strength of schedule is not terrible, even though we don't think the teams they've played are very good. Cal has lost how many times this season already?
A few. They've been in a bunch of one-score games. I mean, no one's really talking about Notre Dame's strength of schedule, which is in the 70s.
No, but what I wanted to ask you about them being ranked as the 39th best defense, my eyes are not lying to me.
That's yards per play against Power 4 teams.
But my eyes aren't lying to me. When I'm watching their games and I'm seeing a running back run free every time on 3rd and 7 for 19 yards, and I'm like, how is he not better covered than that? When that felt like the whole first half of the season, and it's against teams that aren't actually good. Because when you get to the last 12, you have to have one of the I don't think you can have the worst defense of the 12 when the offenses you're running into are going to be more formidable than the ones you've already played.
I don't think it's a matter of being formidable. I imagine like the bigger issue, and look, Syracuse is a team that really values time of possession. Those are the teams that scare me. Like Oregon, okay, Oregon, we're going to have a track meet. You have players, we're not going to be able to stop anybody, let alone Oregon. So give the ball right back to Cam Ward.
Wait, Mike, so this weekend scares you more at Syracuse than some of these playoff matchups?
I would say anytime you run into an offense that really prioritizes time of possession to try to limit the touches that Cam Ward will get.
Right.
We saw in the Georgia Tech game, Cam Ward will press and not take what's available to him. I think he actually showed in Wake Forest that he can adjust. And it wasn't this super spectacular game, although he made some wild throws that didn't end up being caught. But he was quicker to throw than he had ever been all season long. His yards per attempt was lower. So I think those are signs of encouragement. I think that Dan is really hyperinflating the level of defense that you've seen from teams that have made noise in the CFP since it's been around. You just need, if this offense puts up 35 a game, which they've shown, if they get their normal amount of touches, they will. They've only been held under that, once all season?
Let me do it this way with you guys, because the comp that I have, if you're going to make this a champion, if you're going to make the University of Miami a champion, and I've already said I'm not used to a defense like that winning a championship.
But again, along with Tennessee, they're the only teams in the CFP that have a top 15 offense and a top 15 defense. You say their defense isn't good, and the counting numbers say they're among the best, most balanced teams in the CFP discussion.
Okay, and so when I throw that to the group, what have your eyes told you? Because I'm understanding what he's saying, and I can't get out of my head the number of 50-yard plays they've given up.
You are right to seize on that. I think in terms of giving up explosive plays to the opposition, they're like a middling FCS team.
My eyes tell me that anytime there's a 3rd and 21, the team is getting a first down. Yeah. That's what my eyes tell me. Like in the Georgia Tech game, there was like a 3rd and 17 where a freshman tight end or whatever got 27 yards uncovered, untouched, and just stepped out of bounds. It was insane.
Yeah, they were really bad on defense for about a month straight, and week after week they got worse at being able to address where teams were attacking them. I think that is a main concern. I share that concern with Dan. I don't think it's unreasonable for Dan to react to the numbers that I'm giving him, which are surprising because of what we've seen over the last month, and been like, yeah, I don't trust it, because I'm right there with Dan. If a team sets out a game plan to keep the ball away from Miami and attack what they're bad at, force their players to make tackles in space, they're going to struggle.
Billy, I am seeing here on the preview screen that our little show, one of the most popular in America, every time we land somewhere, I am always moved, Stugots, by people who fly in and drive in from a long way away, even if we're just at a local bar party. And we're doing another one of these for a game that we could turn this place into a real zoo. Jets and Dolphins.
Yep.
1 o'clock, Sunday, December 8th. I need the Dolphins to have that game matter. I need Aaron Rodgers to come into town. I need not so many quarterbacks to get hurt between now and then that Tim Boyle is starting for somebody. But that game, Billy,
Yes.
that day, what are we doing and where are we doing it?
Well, we've been doing a little God Bless Football country tour here, you know what I mean? We started in Chicago, we went out to Arizona, and now we're going to be landing here at home in Miami, Dolphin Mall. Vivo. You guys remember Vivo? Vivo was the site of a fun watch party we had last year where the Dolphins played the Titans. That ended up being a disastrous game that ended up really ruining the Dolphins season, if we're to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And
it started off great.
Dolphins seemed to have the game in hand, and then all of a sudden they somehow magically blew that lead, and then we all thought, Will Levis, wow, he's going to be something in this league. And no, he was not. He's pretty bad. Not very good this year. So that game ended up being a disaster and a bad time had by all. It was fun for most of the night, but then a bad time. So we said, you know what? Let's have a bad time again. So come out here. We're going to have a bad time together. Dolphins versus Jets, December 8th, live from Vivo at Dolphin Mall. Kickoff's at 1, but we're going to get there around noon, go until about 5 or so. We're just going to kind of be enjoying football. We'll have the Dolphins game on, the Jets game on. And I would advise you, and this is not on the script here. This is not Sunday service presented by Smirnoff. This is not on the script. But I will tell you this, because our partners at Smirnoff have been great. I will tell you this. December 8th, Dolphin Mall, it's a Sunday. I would get there a little bit early because you're headed into prime holiday shopping season. So if you want to find some parking, it's going to be a zoo generally just because of that time of year at Dolphin Mall.
But no, the growing property of God Bless Football landing in your town after touring the country, Arizona and Chicago, landing
a homecoming
closer to home to Billy Gill, the people that matter, the People's Show. These are Billy Gill's people. This
not
mall,
closer to home, my actual home. I grew up at Dolphin Mall. That's where I met my wife. My wife.
Wow.
Yeah, at Dolphin Mall. So the point is, get there early because if you want to sit down, you want to have a good spot at the bar, you want to have some, a good vista of us. Like, there's a lot of bars and stuff around that area, and it's gonna probably be crowded just because of that time of the year, So come out and enjoy the Dolphins and the Jets with us. It'll be fun. Who knows who'll be the Jets quarterback at that point in the season? If Aaron will be released, if he'll be on the team, if he'll be on IR, it could be a disaster. Hopefully, it's a Dolphins win. It seems like we're trending in that direction. And we have a big Prove It game tonight, right? Or Show Me Something game tonight? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorroher.
Which is
Get ahead of yourself.
Which is it, Billy? Wait a minute.
What?
Those are two different things.
What do you mean?
Tonight or
a Prove
tomorrow?
It game or a Show Me game?
Well, you said it was a Show Me game.
I said it was a Show Me game, and then Billy
Show Me
diluted
game
it.
and the Show Me State, some are saying.
Billy downgraded it to Prove It
Wisconsin.
game.
Show Me State's Missouri. I think.
My first date with my wife was also at Dolphin Mall.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
At Vivo?
Where'd you go?
TGI Fridays, and then we saw the Rundown starring Christopher Walken,
Really wined and
Sean
dined
William
her, huh?
Scott, and
Yeah.
The Rock?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
First date movie. You don't really talk a lot.
Yeah.
We were smooching.
You talked before.
This guy.
Baby.
Was the movie always the plan, or was like TGI Fridays went well? So
That's
it's like,
sizzling.
hey, you want to go up
movies are
to
always planned.
Dolphin Cinemas upstairs?
That's sizzling
You get
chicken
the
and
mozzarella
cheese.
sticks up
that's
there?
sizzling chicken and cheese.
Dolphin Cinema is one of the first places that I can remember in this area that had like full food that you could order. Incredible. You do a lap, you do a loser lap around the mall.
Always.
Yeah, you got to.
Free samples at the food court.
Was the bowling alley there at the time or no?
No, not that
onions,
early on.
Little onions.
It's changed names. Like, well, there was also Bolero at one point in time. I don't know if it still is a Bolero. I'm sure they serve Smirnoff.
Anyways,
It comes
that's
out
Sunday.
It comes out sizzling like it's fajitas.
Yeah.
Sizzling chicken
TGI
and
Fridays, I
cheese.
heard a
Chicken,
bunch of them were
chicken.
closing.
Yeah, it's a
I
sad
think that
The-
one closed.
The one next to UM's campus closed. I can't
Really?
believe that.
Sad day.
Really sad.
Yeah, Fridays, Tuesdays. Don't name your restaurant after a day of the week because it's not going well.
Seems
Jets,
to
Dolphins.
be a bit of a
Jets,
trend.
Dolphins, December 8th, yeah.
I
Vivo.
want to hear more about both of these encounters. You guys are going. This is a homecoming for you guys. This is where love began for you guys, for both of you at
You're
Dolphin
such a
Mall.
writer.
Yeah.
I mean,
what a
I just,
romantic.
I just got frisky inside
Playing
a movie
tonsil
theater.
hockey
Come on,
over here.
man.
Yeah, but what
What
about
base?
Watching the rundown.
After a
What
few drinks
base?
of Friday.
base?
Billy said
Just
he
amongst us girls,
met
what
him.
base did we go to?
Yeah, come on. A little handsy.
I'm still waiting on that roller coaster at Dolphin Mall.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
They
right.
promised that the opening weekend. weekend. Still no roller coaster. Yeah. Another. What happened to that other massive mall? Dolphin Mall, great by the way. Come check it out.
Yeah.
But what
It's the
about
Hialeah one,
that
right?
other giant
The one on
mall
the
they were
Turnpike,
supposed to
right?
build that was supposed to like
There's a Miami
combat
Springs
Mall
one?
of the Americas in Minnesota. It's supposed to be like the biggest mall in the world, right off of the
Miami
Turnpike.
Lakes?
It was supposed to
What
have a
happened
ski
to it?
resort or something
Yeah,
inside of
indoor
it.
skiing. What
Yeah.
happened to that?
I don't know.
They're
I'd
still
like to kiss
building
my
it.
wife there.
Who would have thought, now that we're talking about Miami malls, and I know that's what everybody wants to talk about this time of year, who would have thought, huh? Miami International Mall, outliving Sunset Place.
I
No
know.
one would have had that.
And when I tell you it's on its
No one.
last legs, International Mall is just nothing.
No,
They got
falsehoods.
nothing
No,
there
dude,
anymore.
International Mall is thriving
Nah.
right now. It's thriving.
When was the last time you went?
Like 2 weeks ago.
I went 2 weeks ago too.
Oh, it's great.
Is there a
What
radio?
day? I went sooner.
Is there a Radio Shack there?
Dolphin
Radio
shits.
Shack. No, get out of here. Anyways, Dan, have you been to International Mall in the past couple things?
I will
Things?
answer your questions in a second. You guys did a deep dive on local malls here. I still haven't gotten an answer to my question, though. How did you meet your wife at Dolphin Mall?
My wife, we work together. Yeah.
And I don't know the backstory
Of what? Us working together?
of how it is that you came.
Whoa.
Hey.
That was
What?
that was a while later.
What?
Was it really?
December
None of
8th.
his personal business.
Seriously.
Sunday
Sullivan.
service presented by
Sully.
Smirnoff. Yeah, 1 p.m. kickoff. But we'll
12,
be there at
12.
noon. Yeah, get there early,
Be
too.
there like
if you wanna get
11:30, 11
good
o'clock maybe.
seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy, that mall you were talking about, the new deadline,
one?
it's 2026, the one right off the Turnpike that they've been promoting forever.
I don't
It'll
understand.
be
Look,
ready in time for the World Cup.
2026. I mean, get out of here. Look, guys, let me tell you something. I'm going to call shenanigans on these projected dates of construction projects because, like, just now driving in, I see they finally put a shovel in the dirt on that soccer stadium next to the airport. Like, we're finally moving dirt around there, and that's supposed to open in like 4 months. So I don't think that we're going to meet that deadline. And 2026, there's no shot in hell because I've driven down the Turnpike, and I don't see the largest mall in the world anywhere around there. So they haven't started that yet either.
We managed to go a week without talking about Inter Miami's manager leaving.
Yeah, they just hired a new one, too.
Really?
That happened pretty quickly and out of nowhere, and I haven't seen subsequent reporting after I heard personal reasons because not a lot of people had that coming.
I mean, seemingly out of nowhere, there were some people plugged in the know that.
You're one of them, aren't you,
No,
Mike?
no. I kind of given up that beat. They're not my biggest fan anymore. But it was interesting when I first heard Tata Martino was in the mix. Everyone's like, "Well, that's a perfect mesh with Messi because they know each other." But what I kept hearing was like, it's actually not that easy. There might actually be some conflict there. The fact that they've worked together in the past, that doesn't actually help this thing. Tata's a very prideful guy, and I think this is one of those situations where, like, you want to do it your way. I had plenty of success doing it my way. You guys just do your thing.
Are you interested at all, Stugotz, in this portion of it? For a while there, Mike was doing some insider reporting around that sport and obviously had very good sources in Inter Miami because if you were listening to the show, it wasn't surprising to you that Messi ended up there. When he says they're not the biggest fans of him, I haven't talked to him about this at all, but I'm assuming that would be because you've been on here talking about how they price people out and gouge people and that you gave up your season tickets. I hadn't asked you about this, but I
don't think we need to assume. I think that would be the reason.
I would assume
Yeah, but I've also been more fair than them. I reconnected with some people over there, and I guess the way my perspective was they weren't that big of fans of mine. I know some people there aren't, but there are some people that matter over there that are totally fine with me. I think that I kind of feel, me personally, this is my personal feeling, I think Inter Miami missed an opportunity here. Inter Miami, from a stadium attendance standpoint, was doing very well pre-Messi. They had a packed house. It was a fun atmosphere, even though it was very far away from like the base that they were trying to appeal to.
Which people have no idea how much further that is than it used to be because you'll see during Art Basel, we are wildly overcrowded down here. So for you to get to those games was going to take you 2 hours every day during that time.
Well, let's just say my car is well over the miles because of all the Inter Miami games that I went to. It's 15 minutes away from Boca Raton. Okay. It's a lot more convenient if you live in Boca to watch Inter Miami than if you are living in the populous center of Miami-Dade County like I am around Kendall.
That's my drive every day.
It was tough. I just, look, they brought in a dude from Barcelona on the business ops. They have a certain way of doing things over there. It's a little different over here. It felt a little less MLS-y, which actually appealed to me. I like the direction that MLS was going in. But this is messy. This is a whole different ball game. And by the way, on the field, even though they got eliminated in the first round by Brad Guzman, as Dan liked to call him, they
Guzman.
That's not his name.
I made it Guzman. I put a Z in there.
You're good. Well, the Z is always in there. You put an M in there. Yeah, there's no M. But it's hard to argue with their path, and they're monetizing it, and they're getting sponsors, and they're doing the thing. I did get a phone call for the first time since giving up my tickets, like from Inter Miami, which I found interesting. Like, hey, you want to come back? So I don't know. Read into that what you will. But they also told me I have a credit. I'm like, wait, credit? Wait, what? Where's my money? Huh? You got money? I got money? We'll see if it works out. I wholeheartedly want to come back and be a season ticket holder again once the stadium gets a little bit closer. Maybe the prices level off in a post-Messi world. I'm super excited about this Club World Cup that we have an opportunity to watch Inter Miami open up the whole tournament for. So, look, they got Messi. They are building the stadium. It's not on time. Doubt them at your peril because they've proved a lot of people wrong. And I think on the whole, this has been very successful. And from a business investment, David Beckham made his money over several times over.
Stugotz, you are seeing in the hatware in the other room that Billy wears his allegiances on his head, and the Marlins have fallen behind Inter Miami and University of Miami football and maybe University of Miami basketball. Like the dwindling
Come on, man.
fan
You sound
base.
silly.
I might be carried away, but
I think we blew that opportunity.
during that Final Four,
basketball?
during that Final Four run, it felt like that. It felt like the Marlins were like 7th place locally. And what I wanted to ask you, Billy, because I was surprised by this yesterday, although perhaps I shouldn't.
Marlins are a year removed from the playoffs, I'll have you know.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers now got Blake Snell. Blake Snell has been just really exceptional for a couple of years now. He was unhittable in San Diego. He wasn't a lot more hittable in San Francisco. And I can't believe that the Dodgers have the money to just add someone casually like this, that I think that guaranteed money the Dodgers just gave him represents more money than the Marlins owe everyone they've got to pay in guaranteed money, because the Marlins have only 1-year contracts and Sandy. They've got Sandy and just 1-year contracts. So the Dodgers, the champions, have now added Blake Snell, and you put such distance between yourself and the Marlins, Stugotz, that you make it impossible for the Marlins to compete. I mean, I've heard all our lives the idea of ruining baseball. But if you can get Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Ohtani, and you can and
you just add Blake Snell, right?
I mean,
Blake Snell sucks.
Because your pitching got hurt.
Right.
He won the Cy Young 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he was terrible. He was terrible until August last year.
I mean, he was 5-3 last year. Billy's right. He was not good until the second half.
Guy didn't even have a contract until like 2 months into the season.
But Billy,
no one wanted
What's
him.
his spot in the rotation there, though?
He's
in
number
LA?
2 or 3, I think.
In LA?
In LA, yeah.
Yeah.
But Billy, he does have a career 3.19 ERA.
Yeah,
I
great.
mean,
They already had Glass now for $100 million that they took from
He also
Tampa.
sucks, by the way.
I know,
He's
but
terrible.
they can just
never can stay healthy.
They could just
Good
keep
luck
paying
with those
away
glass
their
arms.
mistakes.
Yeah,
Yes.
keep paying them away, losers.
Snell in the second half after the All-Star break last year was 5-0 with a 1.45 ERA.
A little suspicious.
Go on.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's odd. Such a rough start. Some people will say,
Time
"What?
to
No."
throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Here's the thing: is you guys get me like comfortable to just start talking to you guys, like it's just a bunch of us talking around each other, right? And I'm just here comfortable, just talking, just speculating. And then I hear this sounder, and I know exactly what's to come. Now the gaggle out there, they're all gonna cut this up, and they're gonna put this out there.
Gaggle.
And then a Bob Costas of sorts is going to get mad at me, and then someone else is going to, the Dolphins fans are all going to be, and it's just, we're just talking sports. We're just sitting here around this fireplace, Thanksgiving week, talking sports. And no one wants to talk sports. No one wants to be real. We're just talking. This isn't for the public. This isn't for the masses. I didn't want Blake Snell and the Marlins. I'm glad that they didn't get him. Also, I don't want Juan Soto, if I'm going to be honest with you. Too much. It's too much of a thing. Too much expectations. It's too big of a deal. Too much money. Not going to be worth it. Marlins don't need a Juan Soto. They don't need a Blake Snell type. We don't need that. We need grinders on this team. We need Jake Burgers. We need more Jake Burgers. Find me a team of a bunch of Jake Burgers.
Is that a real person?
And we're
or no?
We did this yesterday with Baker.
Tony, stop doing that to Burger.
I want to hear about a team
Didn't
full
you
of
go
Jake
home?
Burgers. I mean,
What are you doing
He's
here?
one of their stars. He's one of their name players.
But we did this with Baker Mayfield yesterday. A team full of Jake Burgers would be one of the saddest teams.
No, that'd be a good
love
team.
that team.
Good team of grinders.
Yeah,
Yeah, good
gritty.
man too. Family man.
He sounds like in
husky
center
guy.
field.
Couple
Jake
kids.
Burger.
He is
a husky guy?
He's been on this show.
Not on the day I was on.
Tony, he's been like he's a genuine Marlins star the
I
last
could wake
year
up.
and a
I
half.
could wake up next to Jake Burger
Easy.
and wouldn't know.
What do you
I
mean,
wish
Timothy?
I could wake up next to Jake Burger.
They
Mrs.
had
Burger,
Bell and
lucky
Burger
woman.
on the corners. Those are the glory days
Yeah,
of
well,
the
he's
recent
gone.
playoff
though.
Marlins.
Bell's,
Yeah,
Bell's
they're
gone, unfortunately. But Burger's still here. He had a mustache for a little time. You'd like him. You guys kind of look similar, to be honest
I love
with
their
you.
corner infielders. They just hit 450-foot bombs.
Yeah, sometimes. Could use a couple more of them.
Most of the times they don't.
Yeah, most of the time. The
More
grand
often than
majority-
not, they don't, but sometimes.
Yeah, but they had a keg softball team, and they're like, "Come on, Dodgers, what you got?"
Sandy's coming back. We got a new manager, Clayton something.
But Billy is right. Like a team full, a roster full of Jake Burgers would be exciting. It's like a roster full of John Crooks. Crookies.
Rotation's a bit of a liability.
You're right.
Also, you
no,
did
the
say,
rotation will be fine. It's just health. Health is really
You did
the game.
say
Name of
before the
game.
reckless speculation sounder started that the second half of Blake Snell was suspicious. That was a direct quote. You said that.
Then I gave you the 5-0.
You said
I
that,
said
and
it.
then
You
we
did,
played
yes,
catch
you-
up
that's
on
what
you
happened. And
speculating
then you throw-
recklessly.
no, and then you
you
throw a-
definitely said it.
You did
I
say it,
said-
and then you throw a plume of smoke in our face. You just a bunch of words.
No, just sounders start going out. Bing, boom, boom,
What are
boom.
you
And it's like,
accusing
what
you
is
said
all of this
suspicious.
going on?
Talking about gaggles.
You were accusing Blake Snell of something nobody's accused him of.
I
Just talking
accuse him of
sports.
nothing.
You
said
said
it was
something was suspicious.
It's odd that you have such a horrible first half, and second half, all of a sudden, you turn everything around. That's odd.
You
no?
could say he was due.
I didn't accuse anyone of anything. I just said it's odd.
No,
Billy-
you said it was
It
suspicious.
is suspicious.
Billy,
There you go.
Billy,
You guys are putting a negative connotation on the word suspicious that doesn't exist.
Right. Just talking sports.
Billy, it's
Okay.
negative. Suspicious is negative.
Not always. Depends how you use it.
Billy, you're odd, not suspicious.
What? I'm odd?
Huh.
I'm not odd.
Not suspicious.
Having or showing a cautious distrust of someone or something. That's a definition of it.
You said suspicious.
Having
Blake's-
the belief or impression that someone is involved in an illegal or dishonest activity. Now, that's another one.
That was the
not-
one- that
That's
was-
not how I
that's the
used
one
it.
you used,
I think
yeah.
I used it as a past participle.
Blake
be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Blake Snell signs for $182 million and was unhittable the second half of the season. It's a big signing. Baseball is talking about it today because the conversation is, God almighty, Dodgers, knock it off. You can't hog everybody. And you're the first I've heard call it suspicious on a day of great celebration. I haven't heard anyone in the national media, not Kirchin, not
He doesn't say anything.
When would Kirchin say that?
not
Right.
Baseball's great. It's the best thing in the
Well,
world.
Dan, it's a little suspicious.
See, he said it. Co-signed.
Isn't it just baseball that he was Cy Young Award winner the year before and then has a bad half season because, as you said, nobody wanted him, even though what he got was, it felt like what happened to him is he got Borised, right? Like he
Last offseason was really bad for free agency, obviously without the, Shohei Ohtani of it. But, no one was really signing big deals, so he wanted a deal that didn't exist. And then he kind of stayed put, and then he ended up signing a 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out, and then got a deal finally, but after spring training. So the reason that he had a bad first half is because he didn't have spring training and didn't sign with anyone until the season started. So he was kind of delayed a little bit. His spring training essentially was the first half of the season, and then when he started pitching again, he came back to his Cy Young form. That's what happened if we're going to drop the charade. And
Long
be
spring
honest.
training.
If we're
Very
going to tell
long.
the truth and we're not going to do show, that's what happened. It's not suspicious. It's that he didn't have a spring training, Dan. And he's a good pitcher. And now the Dodgers gave a good pitcher a lot of money. And they're going to be a really good team.
Clip
and I was
that.
going to say that baseball is dead and they can't kill it because it's already dead. But that's not the truth. The Dodgers are just really good and they have a lot of money. But I will say this, Mike Schur. If your children are Dodgers fans, you need to do a better job of raising them because you're creating monsters that they just get whatever it is that they want, and they think that every team can just pay every player. They're the new Yankees, and you're creating monsters if they're in fact Dodgers fans. If not, then forgive me for speaking on your children.
Mike, sure, you've been called out.
I have not called him out.
And you are
caveat
right.
at the end.
No,
There were a lot of ifs there, Dan.
No, you are absolutely right on everything you said. You are a truth teller, and Mike Scher's kids and Los Angeles fans. You're so right about this. There's a generation of kids that's saying, yeah, we get Freddie Freeman when the Braves are better. Yeah, we get Shohei Ohtani when he plays for another team. Yeah, we get everybody.
They can just be scrappy underdog Red Sox fans who don't just get everybody they want.
Well, they may get Soto. So
yeah, they're in it for Soto, too.
They are.
By the way, the AL East, the AL East, everyone's in it for Soto, and the Orioles are better than all of them. Like, that's because Toronto's in it, Boston's in it, the Yankees in it.
So why are people so concerned about the Dodgers? Because the Dodgers have been doing this. They've been conducting business like this for over a decade now, and it's gotten them, what, 2 World Series?
Well, because they have to overcome Dave Roberts, and he's a terrible man.
Right. But, I mean, it doesn't guarantee you anything. It guarantees you're going to get to the postseason, but they would have gotten to the postseason without Blake Snell.
I had a Yankees fan yesterday text me and say, I get it. I now understand why everybody hated Yankees fans and why everybody hated the Yankees all these years. I'm finally understanding what it's like to be on the other side of this.
Stugotz, how do you say with a straight face, it doesn't guarantee you anything, it guarantees you get to the playoffs?
The Dodgers are going to get to the playoffs every single year.
So it guarantees you that.
I know, but once you get to the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. I don't care how good your team is. The Padres had the Dodgers on the ropes.
They could have lost to the Padres. At the time, Freeman was all shot up on medication and said so, shouldn't have been on the field. Betts was coming out of a slump. But we can't dispute this part of it, right? This part of it's weird. The Yankees used to be the team every offseason for decades in their rivalry against the Dodgers that got all of the players they wanted. The fact that baseball now has a sport that is being won by a regional television contract that's better than the others, that allows them to get Blake Snell, aren't they in it for Soto too? Like they're like they can get everybody, and they can pay for everybody because Ohtani was just great business. They won the championship. Like now you just start mass collecting, go grab everybody. What they're doing with the pitching staff, Billy, it doesn't matter that their pitching staff was hurt last year, that Kershaw was hurt. They're just going to keep getting giant expensive arms because it doesn't matter if they blow a $200 million contract here and there.
Well, it's not just that. It's that Ohtani's contract was almost entirely deferred. Like they paid him like $2 million last year or something like that. So like the $70 million that he got, all of that money is spaced out over years. Like so. It's basically not a real contract for them at the moment. They're going to have to pay for it at some point in time, and it's going to be a hindrance, I would assume, at some point in time. But again, like all the business that he brought in, it was more than they expected. They can afford everybody now if they wanted it.
And if you want to be a bad parent and raise your children Dodgers fans, that's a hard ticket to come by. Why don't you try the secondary marketplace? And for me and you should only be going to one place, the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code Dan for $20 off your first purchase. Hopefully that's a Dodgers game, and you raise your kids improperly. Download the Game Time app today. You get to see panoramic seat views, all in pricing, so you have no surprises at checkout, and you have Game Time's illustrious ticket coverage. Chris Cody, what time is it?
Game Time.
Oh, I like that one.
I don't know if I like that one.
Yes.
I do. Yes. Sensual Cody. Yes. I would like Sensual Cody to become a character that sells advertising for our show. Whispered, sensual Well, that's a little too far. That's a bridge too far.
That's a bridge too far.
Bridge too far. Yeah. That's good. No, not Joe Rose sound talking about blue cheese.
Big juicy cheeseburgers.
Wait a minute. No, hold on. He'll find it. Give him a second.
Hey, you want some fresh fish?
Give him a second. This is Joe Rose doing a live spot talking about fresh fish and getting watery mouth as he did his live spot. It was sensual in nature.
That's good. Big juicy cheeseburgers of Philly chicken. That's good. Onions. Mushrooms. It's good. Excuse me, can I have a side order of... Can I get some blue cheese with it? I like to dip my thick in that blue cheese they have there. Hey, you want some pasta and seafood dishes with fresh fish? It's good. So good. Yeah. There is nothing like a thick...
That is what we paid millions of dollars for to get from ESPN.
The big dog.
That is the library of stuff that ESPN could not wrestle away from us.
He was paid $25 for that.
Speaking of onions, I just saw that behind the bit, as part of our 20-year anniversary celebration that includes Stugots going to the top of the bestseller lists, we have the memory here, Stugotz. And I just learned today an assortment of other details that I did not know about Billy and this onion and the subsequent hospitalization.
This is behind the bit. This is behind the bit. This is behind
the bit.
A segment where we highlight all these bits, the glory days, some might say. Not that it's not nice now. It's nice now, but it's not.
Guillermo now has to do his challenge of eating a raw onion.
Yeah, well, this isn't a good idea. And I didn't, now I'm starting to think maybe I should have thought of whether I'm allergic to onions and, looked into this and, maybe I'll die doing this.
Where are you just going to start eating?
Yeah, do I start?
All right, go ahead. Let's hear the first crunch of this. Oh! Go! Oh, my God, that seems awful. That's a giant onion. I am going to vomit.
Does the holding of the nose help?
Nothing's helping.
You seem to be doing okay, though. You seem to be doing much better than I. Are you going to vomit on? Is there any chance that you vomit on your keyboard?
It's possible.
Oh, I mean, he's eating it like an apple. And it's a raw onion, and it's horrific. Yeah. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. We are in the equivalent of a hurricane shelter in here. I feel like I'm watching Braveheart right now. Let me explain. If he throws up, we're all going to start throwing up because vomiting is contagious. I mean,
oh, my God, he's going to puke. He's going to puke.
Yeah, of course he is.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, Le Batard puking. No!
Whose idea was it for Billy to eat the onion?
Yeah, this is a grid of death punishment, and Billy had to eat that onion, and it sucked for him because it kind of forced him to go to the hospital with kidney stones, actually. So, yeah, that was not good for Billy.
Were you there for this moment?
Yeah, I was. I raised the sound fader up so we can get the sound of the actual bite, and yeah, I would have picked a smaller onion, personally. I would have picked the green onion, probably.
First bite, it sounded, the sound still haunts me, but it sounded like a bite into a crisp apple.
Does the holding of the nose help? Oh! Does the holding of the nose help?
Yeah, he didn't have to pick that one. There were others to pick from.
He ate an onion the way you would eat an apple. And so that was his first bite, and then he went to the hospital.
He didn't finish the onion, and this part of the story, this was interesting to me. I learned on air, I'm going to say, 7, 8, 9 years later that hospitalized him. I didn't know. I don't know whether they kept it from me on purpose, but I did not know that was something that could get you sick or that it did get him sick until many years later.
Oh, the onion. The onion was a low point in my career and life. The onion was terrible. The onion was a punishment that I had to do because I lost in the bucket of death, and I selected to eat a raw onion. There was a double standard when it comes to grid of death and bucket of death punishments, where some people were able to get away with kind of like half-hearted payoffs and others were not. And I was not one of the people that was able to get away with half-hearted punishments, so I had to go and buy the onion myself. And I was trying to figure out the smallest onion that I could get to have this count. To avoid any controversy in, the spirit of the rules, I went and got a legitimate onion, and I got a decent sized onion. And I thought, I'm just gonna power through this situation.
How awful was that? Was Billy expecting it?
Well, Billy knew what was gonna happen. We had to then learn the lesson that we now know post-onion, that eating competition should probably not be a part of the grid of death. I myself had a very horrific experience with tripe It just straight up tasted and smelled like poop. It was bad. We thought the onion, eating a raw onion would be fine. I Googled it to see if it would be bad. It's natural. He legitimately threw up. I wasn't aware, and I imagine Billy still harbors some sort of resentment there. Wasn't my finest hour as producer.
So I'm eating the onion. I'm powering through. I'm like halfway done or so. And what really made it terrible was Dan gagging in the other studio. So now the onion's hitting me. The fumes from the onion are in my face. I'm like starting to tear up. It's starting to collect in my mouth because I'm trying to eat it quickly, but I'm not really swallowing it as I'm doing it. And then the gagging sound over and over and over again ends up getting me sick. So he throws up. Then I start throwing up. And then I didn't stop throwing up. What's not known entirely is I ended up in the hospital as a result of the onion.
He spent, I believe, 3 days in the hospital after doing that. But here's the thing, Billy's always in the hospital. That's what he does. He goes to doctors.
But this doesn't even sound right. Did you know that you can go to the hospital for eating? He didn't even eat the whole onion. He took 4 bites. I don't believe that the onion is the reason for his hospitalization.
You think it was something else?
I don't know.
You think Billy's been lying all these years?
I just think that he had another ailment that's what? Does that
the
make
onion
any
triggered
sense?
it? Or,
What do you think? Do you think that 3 or 4 bites of an onion are? If I told you right now, absent this information, Stugotz, somebody takes 3 or 4 bites out of an onion, are they going to be hospitalized? Your answer to that's going to be yes?
No, it'd be no. That's fair.
A lot of people say, how did eating an onion get you in the hospital? So much so that when I was in the hospital and they were trying to figure out what's wrong with me, I was telling them I've been throwing up all day. I had to eat an onion. Can eating an onion cause you to come to the hospital? What was it?
You know what, Billy, you lied. I don't believe him now.
I think it was something else. I think Billy's blaming us. I think Billy might be trying to get us to feel guilty because he had to suffer something that wasn't our fault.
Maybe Billy was just home and took 3 days off of work, and if he did, I taught him well.
A little bit of Stugotz in everybody.
Dan will claim that he had no idea that I was in the hospital until just recently, which is nonsense. And if you look at the tapes and you go through the archives, you will find him making mentions of my hospitalization on the show, openly mocking an employee's hospitalization on the show. Unbelievable. And I sent them a picture of my hospital bracelet. I'm like, I'm in the hospital. This went terribly. This is a terrible idea.
It was either Michael Roy said it gave him kidney stones. Do we think that's malarkey?
Kidney stones? Do we think we think onions cause kidney stones?
So the kidney stones we're trying to get out, but the onion triggered.
There were no stones there. Then he ate 3 bites of an onion. All of a sudden, he's got kidney stones. Kind of quack is he seeing?
They were 100% caused by the onions. This is just a liability issue at this point, and I'm sure they've talked to lawyers or whoever in HR that has told them, deny, deny, deny. They know that they are damn well responsible for my hospitalization that day.
I haven't had it confirmed to me through an independent health expert that it was the onion that sent him to the hospital, but it doesn't really matter. He ended up in the hospital afterwards, I ended up in the hospital after I went to Vegas. Could it have been the booze? Maybe. I put it on the gazpacho.
So Dan and Stu emphatically do not believe that the onion sent Billy to the hospital.
I'm not going to disclose what he was in the hospital for. I'll leave that up to Billy. But it's a bit of a stretch for the onion to, what I call wind of, to affect maybe it jump-started it. Maybe the visceral reaction he had to the onion brought about some other things in his body. Again, look, you're trying to trap me. I'm going to leave it at the apology. If I hospitalized him for a completely unrelated body part, fine. It was the onion. Sue me, but don't actually sue me because the statute of limitations is up.
While we're pretending no one knew I was in the hospital and that was just a bit and whatever, I got stuck with the hospital bill. I had to pay $1,500 out of pocket because I was hospitalized and I was just a lowly employee, and I was like, how do I even tell someone I got charged this for going to the hospital? Months later, ESPN found out about it because they were our employers at the time, and they're like, yeah, you shouldn't have had to pay for that. I'm like, okay, cool, so are you guys gonna cover that? Well, And I had to eat it. So I had to eat the onion and eat the hospital bill and the kidney stone. It was just a disaster. I hate the onion.
Was Billy mad at you guys for this one?
We don't know.
I learned about it. If he was mad,
He never
he
told us.
stewed in the resentment for 7 or 8 years without telling me.
Hello, friends. This is Billy. If you find yourself in a situation at work or home and you're challenged to dare to eat an onion, or you're just hungry, look around, there's nothing in the cupboard but a raw onion, and you think, what's the worst that can happen? I'm here to tell you hospitalization is the worst that can happen. I was one of the lucky ones. I was just hospitalized for 2 days as a result of eating a raw onion. And then my employers denied any involvement in this and had to pay out of pocket all the co-pays involved. So it's better to starve than to eat a raw onion.
Look at David Samson. He's got his reading glasses on. He is here to support and promote the best-selling author of much acclaimed, Stugotz. You have your personal copy. Samson, were you recruited to write anything for the book?
Indeed I was, Dan.
Duh.
And here I am in chapter 33, and I want to tell you the story of how this absolute train wreck happened. I got a email from a guy I didn't know, not from Stu, of course. It was this guy who's now on the title of the book, Dan Stanzik. He said, listen, Stugotz is writing a book, and he'd very much appreciate it if you would write an essay about why Shohei Ohtani's contract is or is not the worst contract in the history of sports. And I did what any friend of Stu would do. I ignored it, because I assumed that there was no book that was going to be written and I wasn't going to waste my time. And then I got a follow-up email, still not from Stu.
No.
Had not heard a word from him yet. A follow-up email, hey, we're going to print soon. Do you think that you could get us your essay on Shohei Ohtani and his contract? And I responded saying, okay, I will put as much effort into this as Stu did into the book. And I then sent, right here on page 204 and 205, a two-pager on Ohtani. And I did it in one draft, and I made one phone call, Stu. I must tell you, I made one phone call.
Okay.
I called Dan, and I
Right.
said, Dan, is this book real? That was question number one. And he said, I don't think so, though I'm writing a forward, F-O-R-W-A-R-D.
Yep.
And do you think I need to make it nice? And then I said, second question, Dan, will Stu ever read what I wrote? And Dan said, absolutely not. So I sent it, and then I went on Amazon, and I bought the book because Stu, I don't know how else I'd get the book. So I had multiple copies sent to me because I want to help you in your endeavor.
Thank you.
And
How
I-
many, by the way? Just, you know.
I actually only bought 4. I apologize.
Should have bought 8, but okay. Anyway, go ahead.
But I bought them at retail.
It would have been great if he said 27,000. What a great joke.
I'll take it. I mean, I don't care.
What does he care? And I will only tell you that having read the book, Stu, what makes me smile is that you have arguments in here that are so asinine that you are going to end up not taking credit for them, which is why you're saying you didn't write them. That's what's funny about this book, is that your positions are so crazy.
The Kevin Durant one is all mine. The Elijah one not having any rings, all mine. Starks never going 2 of 18, all mine. All of those are mine. I'll take them. They're good takes. They're good takes. I found that a lot of people were agreeing with my takes. That's what I found. So that was interesting.
Billy, you are smirking back there, and it's red-faced, and it seems like it might be shame. I can't tell.
I'm embarrassed.
Because?
On Stu's behalf, you didn't send books to the actual people that wrote books. Like, David had to buy 4 books.
We sent David a book. We did. He knows. He got a book.
So I will tell you what happened, Billy, is that I did go on Amazon. I did the pre-order, and then I got a book from Stu that had a letter in it. And Stu did write the letter. Stu, can you confirm to me that you wrote the letter that you inserted when you sent me a copy along with the other co-authors of the book? Did you write that yourself?
No, that was Stanzik's job. And Taylor.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, and Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, so I found it to be.
It wasn't a
less
letter. It was
grammatically
weekend
perfect.
observations. Right. I understand that. You'll get your personalized copy very soon. To suggest that I'm not going to do anything for all the great people, wonderful people that contributed to this book. I understand why you would think that. I understand why everyone would think that. But I have plans for you guys. I just don't know what they are yet.
So generally, Stu, the way it works with being an author is that these things are done prior to the publication of the book.
Yeah. I'm not your traditional author, David, so I'll do things on my speed, on my pace, on my watch. How's that sound?
But you're going to cash the traditional checks, I assume.
Well, yes.
On time.
On time, yeah.
So I would just suggest that you should contact. There's a lot of amazing people, me not included, though I'm thankful to be in it, I guess, that did this for you. And the irony is that all of the people who wrote the counters to your points, I did some checking.
Yeah.
I spoke to Pablo and we did some finding out. Those people actually did write those sections of the book.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't
Pablo
know
wrote
if you
one.
knew that.
I don't recall asking Pablo to do anything for the book. I mean,
no, he has a
in
show
fact, I
called
asked Pablo to do. Yeah, I asked him to do an episode on the book to help promote the book because Lord knows all we do around here is promote Pablo, and I didn't get. I got a frosty response. I got to be honest with you. I mean, Pablo has been coming down here. He sits in the chair. He does the show with us. I try to make him feel comfortable. I share my platform with him. I let him promote whatever he wants to promote. I asked him to do one episode to promote the book. Frosty response. I mean,
what is there to find out? He's got a certain standard.
How I wrote it.
But you didn't.
It was a good idea, though. How did Stugotz write a book? And that was the joke.
He should do a
Thank you.
He should do a round table with all the people who wrote it for him and not even have Stugotz show up for it.
That's a good idea. Just promote the book. I don't care.
What was the frosty
I'm in the business
response?
of selling books. I mean,
Yeah, what's his response? Read it to
you
us.
coming up to New York at any time? It's like I had to come up to New York to do the episode. Give me a break. Come down here. I mean, give me a break.
Well, I want to do an episode with you on Nothing Personal because I do want to talk about this process because the decision to write a book is a very personal one.
Yes.
And the decision to do it in character and to do it in the lazy way in which it was done is also an interesting decision. And what I'm curious about is your relationship with the book industry now because you could be asked as a bestseller to rub elbows with other people in your position who are actually well-known and accomplished writers. And I'm wondering, it's not about matching heaters. I'm wondering how you will act in that situation.
He's going to sell out a church next week with Greg Cody.
Yeah.
No, I heard that, and that's great news. That is where I'm sure there'll be a lot of people on their knees. Sorry, no religious jokes, but that's very nice of you, Stu. Are you making people buy the book for the signing?
I'm in the business of selling books, David. I am a best-selling author. Of course we are making people buy the book.
Okay, that's good, but here's one other word of advice economically. You should agree to also sign one other item that someone brings.
Okay.
But to do that, they have to buy a copy of the book.
Okay. I will sign whatever anyone brings to that signing. I will. But I
No, you can't, Stu.
No, you're
People
trying to
bring
do an
20
upsell.
things.
You're saying buy more books and I'll sign additional things. Is that what you're saying? You want me to upsell
One
people?
item per book bought.
Okay, good. So if you bring 7 books, I have to sign 7 items, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yes, that is the math.
I like it. Okay, good.
So you're going to rip people off in a church.
You want to join us?
That's what you two are going to do.
I'm giving away a cruise also, David. Not to the people who come out to the church that day. Just to our top sales
guy. We're not giving away any
which
cruise.
Right now it's me.
That's irresponsible. There are standards around here. You can't promise people we're giving them a cruise.
It's the internet.
Let me just say for Metalark, on behalf of Metalark, if what Stu is saying, then it is open and available to everybody, no purchase necessary.
God is watching, Stugots.
It's sales team, though.
Listen, my finest work, as I pointed out earlier, happened in a church. I saved a wedding in a church. Churches like me.
Your finest work?
Yes. I saved Mike's wedding, Dan.
We have breaking NFL news. Daniel Jones has agreed to sign with the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
He had several suitors. He prioritized a team in playoff contention, a chance to play, QB-friendly offensive system. This is all according to Jordan Schultz.
You know what?
Schultz.
I
can't stand it.
I will not allow, you can't stand what? That football trumps everything? Because what I'm going to get furious about is that it trumps everything so thoroughly that we were talking about Stugotz's book and Daniel Jones going to back up in Minnesota or maybe start. I don't know how they feel about Sam Darnold.
Look at you. You can open the door to interest.
Look what's getting interesting.
Got 3 wows from Stugotz. That did not deserve 3 wows from the tired author, the tired acclaimed author. Come on, that move didn't deserve to interrupt what we were doing.
Stop now. You do this all the time with me and Mike. And then Sam Darnold gets hurt. And then Daniel Jones comes in and helps win that team a big game that you weren't thinking Daniel Jones was going to win for the Vikings. And then it becomes a good signing.
Okay.
That's all Mike is saying. That's all we've ever said. It's George Hill.
Mike didn't say anything, and it's
He's
George.
excited about it.
I just reported someone else's news.
And no, because you do this all the time. There are
George
these little
Hill.
moves.
George Hill.
There are these little moves that are made throughout each sport, okay? And they happen during the season. And then Mike and I get excited about them. We've been doing so for years. And then you poo-poo on them. And it's not right, because then all of a sudden, the George Hill is the classic example of a guy where you would say, why would you break into the show to tell us about George Hill? And then George Hill has 24 points, Eastern Conference semifinals, game 2. That's why we brought up George
Can
Hill.
you tell me how many championships George Hill has won and all the times he's been moved? The dozens of times he's been moved as a missing piece that's actually resulted in him being the missing piece.
Why won't you give us a George Hill thing?
You just won't give
What's
us
wrong
anything.
about the George Hill thing? He became a
He's got
contributor.
0 rings.
Zero rings. So the missing piece in 0 places, George Hill, who we've been talking about for 15 years, so much so that he's just made his way into a Daniel Jones story.
He became a contributor.
Yeah, exactly.
That was Samaki Walker.
I mean,
Samson, can you tell me, play the music here, because I want to read something to Samson that is, gloomy, but we've got happy music for it.
Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The oceans are all burning, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
Climate stat of the day, Stugots. After the roof of Tropicana Field was ripped off last month by Hurricane Milton, the Tampa Bay Rays are playing next season at Steinbrenner Field, which has no roof. Major League Baseball announced on Tuesday that the Rays, in a first, will play 47 of their first 59 games at home and 69 of their final 103 on the road to, quote, optimize for the best weather conditions, which is code for avoiding extreme rain, heat, and storms. From June to September of this year, Tampa has had 52 inches of rain, topping 1945 for the wettest rainy season on record. Project 2025 would cancel the weather forecast, and Trump's pick for energy secretary is an oil industry CEO who says, quote, there is no climate crisis. Samson, the Rays have no shot to do anything this season in the American League East because they have no home, and also because everybody in their division has more money than they do.
The other teams are better.
I totally disagree. As a matter of fact, if you speak to the players, they'd rather be on the road because the crowds are bigger and they feel more into the game. So we had our players always preferred to play on the road, actually, because our attendance was so small. And so that's a pretty common thing. It's not as big a disadvantage as people are making it out to be for the Rays. If they don't win next year, it's just because they're not in a window to be competitive, and teams like that have windows that open and close, but it really has nothing to do with the changing of the schedule. And I was just angry when I read it because it's not fair. We had in Pro Player Stadium, we never got our schedule changed. And we had to deal with all the rain delays and all of the issues with change of routine, and no one ever gave a flying rat's ass. So now Tampa, 1 year in Steinbrenner Field, and all of a sudden, change a bunch of series around and put them on the road. It's ridiculous.
Why is it a flying rat's ass? And why is it a rat's ass to begin with? I don't give a rat's ass to begin with. Why? I don't understand. Where does it originate?
Yeah, they're found right at the end of the bridge that's too far.
Is it safe to possibly assume that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers also had something to do with this, because they're going to be on the road as Tampa goes to its very nearby headquarters and uses a facility that's also on the ground? They share parking. I can see where that becomes an issue. You could schedule around it, but it probably gave it a nudge.
No, especially the attendance isn't enough, Mike, at the Rays games, and the capacity. It's going to be a lot like the Tampa Tarpons games, actually.
I couldn't believe before we started here, did you guys hear? And for all his sour takes, David Samson hating Thanksgiving. Who hates Thanksgiving?
Someone
David
that probably
does.
can't taste the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't enjoy having to be on sort of performing for family and the drama. I used to do, this is a funny story in my head, I used to try to purposely make trades on Thanksgiving so I could get away from the Thanksgiving dinner. And so what I would do
That's a
is,
heady play, man. I mean,
Revelation.
And we did it. And we actually succeeded in completing some transactions right on Thanksgiving
Find
Day.
out for me. Go find out for me so I can recreate some of the names that were traded on Thanksgiving Day or around there by the Marlins.
This should be a really fun Thanksgiving, just generally. And everybody wants to turn to football for an escape, and then someone scores a touchdown and does a dance. Have fun, everybody.
I don't really feel as though this is where you can critique me. I don't like turkey and cranberry sauce. I don't like taking out that knife that you're supposed to cut it with that you use once a year only. I don't like all the side dishes. I'm just not a big fan of people in the way they sit around and just nosh for 6 hours. So the way I do Thanksgiving is a little different. I announce to the family that I'll be arriving at 4:02 p.m. and departing at 5:27 p.m. So I'm there for about an hour and 25 minutes, and I'm in and I'm out. It's like going to Wisconsin.
In 2005, the Marlins traded Josh Beckett, Mike Lowe, and Guillermo Mota on Thanksgiving for Hanley Ramirez, Anibal Sanchez, Harvey Garcia, and Jesus Delgado.
That's a hell of a trade, man.
Yeah, we got him out of Thanksgiving, though. I mean,
5 hours. 5 hours at the Boca Raton, someplace in Boca, where I was having a Thanksgiving meal, and I had young kids at the time. And it just occurs to me why I am in the position I'm in personally, but I left all of them at the table.
It just occurred to you.
It just occurred to me.
Wait, you just realized the reason I'm not with my family anymore is because this is how I treated Thanksgiving.
I'm curious if I go down this list of 10 biggest trades in Marlins history that from I think this is written in 2021 by Joe Frisaro. Like if I give you these dates, I wonder if these align with like your children's birthdays and stuff like that. Or like, oh, here's a graduation and this is why.
Wait a minute, the Marlins were a Ponzi scheme to get you out of family stuff.
It's not that it was a Ponzi scheme,
Well,
but I would tell you that I was able to control the calendar in a lot of ways. And so I would know when we would have afternoon games or night games or when we were what road trips I would go on. And I will not lie to you that I did pay attention to the school calendar, and I did not like being around when the kids were off from school because then they were just around all day. So I would be on the road often during those times.
Do you identify, as a dad, the adjective that you would put in front of you as a dad would be what?
A great supporter and not at all jealous of my kids' accomplishments. I'm actually happy for them, and I'm proud of them, but I would not in any way say that they were a priority. Their safety was and their security, but not from a time standpoint. And this just actually manifested itself last night when I was speaking to my now 21-year-old son, who's a senior in college. And he really had nothing to say to me, and I had nothing to say to him. And we had a very quick talk. And sometimes we'll talk about movies or sports, but sort of surfacey stuff. And I found out some things that he was doing that I wasn't aware of. And I had this moment, like a second, where I was like, man, that's so sad. And then I realized, well, wait a minute. I made this bed. I created this situation. I can't be in the least bit unhappy. And then I went back and pressed play on the movie I was watching. And that was that. So you make your bed when you're in business. You can't be a good father and a successful businessman. I don't agree that that's even possible. And some people claim they are, but they're likely mediocre at both, or they think they're just delusional that they're great at both. Jesus. And I made the choice I chose work over family every time. And I didn't lie to them about it. I told them that that's what I was choosing.
This family dysfunction and regret is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/prep. Terms and conditions apply.
That's how you do it, Chris.
I don't think I heard a whole lot of regret. You're saying flatly, I don't agree with the absolutism in that you can't be a great businessman and a balanced human being who is present as a father?
What David is saying is if he can't do it, no one can do it. I mean, that's absurd, David.
Stu, I'm saying that I've come across a lot of people in business, and they all say the same thing. Those at the height of their success, something's got to give. Why do you think the divorce rate is so high in the C-suite level? Why do you think that the family trauma and the therapy required is so significant at the C-suite level? Because you make choices. It's very hard to do both. And I respect people who try, and I witnessed it during the course of my career, and I still do. And generally, you end up being worse at both. And so I decided to go all in, trying to be good at what I did for a living and make sure that they were supported. And to this day, I still feel that way. But at the end of the day, my job couldn't be to raise them. I tried to go to dance recitals. And this is a funny thing that I did with my middle daughter at dance recitals, which were like 10 hours where I could hang out with Rondell White and Cliff Floyd, etc. Hit the button.
Yep.
Chris.
Look at me, Louie.
And it was great. It was called Meg Segreto. It's a place that used to be up in Broward, and they're like dead serious. These recitals are 10 hours, and your kid dances for like 4 minutes of it.
Yep.
And so all I had to do was be in my seat for the 4 minutes, but for the rest of the time, I would be in the lobby because I have no interest in watching other people's kids dance. Literally zero interest in that. So I would do work during that time and then just appear for the 4 minutes that she danced.
Imagine if everyone did it that way, David. Like, you get to do that. Everyone else wants to watch all the other kids.
I got to be honest. I did it that way with Emma. I did.
You guys are jerks.
No, you get the schedule of dances. Chris, have you been to one of these?
Yes, I was just at one
They're
Saturday.
8 hours long. There's 24 dances each set, okay? So you get the schedule. You see when your kid is
You're
dancing.
exaggerating all of that.
No, and
I'm not.
they hold your kid hostage. They don't let you
Thank
take your
you.
kid
Yes,
either. You have to
right.
sit through all of it for
Not
some reason.
8 hours.
No, it is. It's probably
It
longer.
is, yes. I'm with David on this.
Put it
actually.
on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is your kid being held hostage?
No,
at the
it's borderline
8-hour
illegal.
dance
Like, I don't know
recital?
how it is. There's situations.
It's not borderline illegal.
No, it is borderline illegal. There's situations
He's right.
here
Yeah.
where, like, you drop your child off and you're like, I will take my child now. And they're like, no, you will not. And it's like, excuse me, that's not how this works. You can't just sequester my child.
Right.
But they do, and then you give up the fight, and then you go do whatever you're doing.
So Emma's final dance would be like 5 dances before the last dance. You're right, Billy. And me and Abby would be like, hey, Emma, let's go. And they'd be like, no, Emma can't leave. She has to stay till the end. Who says? I'm her parents, not you. I mean, what are you doing?
It is so unbelievable, and it's everywhere. It's not just Florida where this happens. So I found a few workarounds. And one of the workarounds you can do is that you tell your child, and we did this to our middle daughter, you have to feign sickness. And so what you do is when you're done with your dance and there's nothing left, you've had your last curtain call, I ain't sitting around and watching the other 11-year-olds dance to some song I've never heard of. You go to backstage, you go to the door, and all of a sudden out comes the little girl, and you teach her, like, rub the makeup down so you look like things look weird, and then do some dry heaves. Boom, you got her.
This is an all-timer for you, David.
No.
My mouth is on the
right.
floor right now.
He's right.
You give them some green makeup. They can put this a little bit on your cheeks here. People are going to wonder you look a little sick.
You're teaching your child to lie about being sick so you don't have to sit through
Correct.
a recital.
But I would tell her that that's what we're doing. I actually didn't mind teaching my kids the difference between a malicious lie, a white lie, or when you want to mislead people, or when you want to get what you want, how to get what you want. And they're all successful kids right now, so that part of it worked. But I'll tell you, we weren't hurting anyone, Chris. They're backstage. They're not even watching the other people dance. They can't see them. So what is the purpose of being there?
The teachers don't want them there also. Like, they are just as miserable as everyone else because it's like, I now have to watch these kids for 7 hours after a 4-minute performance just because these are the rules that this company decided with. They'd be more than happy to have your kids get out of there. They don't want to babysit 15 kids all day.
And by the way, you have to bring every kid flowers, and so they sell flowers in the lobby. So
It's a
you
racket.
bring
Then you have to
flowers
hug them. It's just the worst.
You got to bring your own flowers. Those, I'm with you on the
tell
flowers.
them they did a great job, and you're like,
Those
honestly,
flowers-
I could dance better.
No,
than
but there's a
half
guy
these
who
kids.
sets up
Ugh.
shop at all these dance
No, I know.
recitals. Yeah.
I don't buy those flowers. I bring my own flowers.
Price gouging, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
They
I mean,
overcharge for those for sure.
A
Because
guy-
once you get there, once you get there, if you don't have flowers, you are forced to buy flowers from this person.
A guy who sets up shop.
It's usually someone who works for the thing. It's like
Yes,
all one.
yeah,
The
yeah.
money's
They
going to
pretend
one
they
place.
don't, but you know they're in on it.
Thanksgiving is a time of love and song and dance and community. Will you listen to yourselves?
It's a time for trades.
Listen to yourself. It's a time for trades.
Hot stove, literally.
It's David Samson, I asked you for an adjective to describe yourself as a father, and you gave me a whole mealy-mouthed discussion and description without giving me an adjective. Did you think you were a bad father?
Adequate.
Because you weren't present, and you're saying you couldn't choose fatherhood over business.
No, I'm just saying that my kids look back and say that, it's funny. They always say this, and I think it comes from their therapist or whatever. Hey, I wish you had given it all up and spent more time with us. I'm like, all right, enjoy, 86F, right, on the flight to Wisconsin. I just don't buy any of that at all, but I love them, and they like me fine when they need something.
Okay, but you just you just said, and I don't want to argue with this about you, but I don't want to argue with you about this, but you said they're successful, and you're also talking about how it is that somebody
he's so detached from what Coach is that he thinks there's 86 rows. He's never gotten out of the single digits.
You're wrong.
International giant jumbo jets that are flying privately.
I was in row 86 on the way to the Philippines for Survivor, and I couldn't stand it. And so I upgraded myself. Hold on. It's on Air Philippines in 2013, and I upgraded myself on the plane. And much to the chagrin of the fellow survivors, I didn't realize at the time, but they ended up holding that against me, that I wasn't willing to sit in a middle seat surrounded by like babies for a 14-hour flight.
You became the target.
You have no people skills. I wonder why they kicked you off the island so quickly. You don't understand community.
You're about to go on a stranded island for 39 days. Like, Jeff, I'd like to upgrade, please. Like, how much do I have to give you for a 10 out here for me and my
You thought
tribe?
you were going to win, and you lost on the plane ride over. You lost. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else, and he lost the whole thing on the plane. They hated him as soon as they landed.
I was totally rested. I felt great. I was lying down the whole flight. Meanwhile, the rest of the people are sitting like this for 14 hours.
All right, Samson, I'm going to get your movie review in a second, but Mike Ryan, did you finish the coffee table?
I did. The most uncomfortable movie I've ever seen by quite a distance. Wow. It's incredible. I think it's a masterpiece, but also researching this movie comes with a trigger warning. So when I say it's the darkest, most uncomfortable thing that you can imagine, also probably a dark comedy as well. If you can view it through that prism, certainly. I've never really seen anything like it. It's shocking. It's provocative. It's brilliant. I love the movie in retrospect, but it was tough to get through. And my wife checked out on it in the process. She couldn't make it through it.
You brought it up to me on Monday. You told me about it. I was scared just hearing about it. But people on social media were tweeting you saying they can't get through the movie.
There's been a lot of people that have told me that they've tried to watch it and they bail on it, or they research the Wikipedia and they bail on it. I totally understand that. But I think, and I know David isn't a big horror guy, although I've come to find out that's more of your traditional slasher, terrifier type stuff. But I'd venture to say, because we'd had this conversation a couple weeks ago, there's a real horror movie, suspense, thriller renaissance going on right now. And I think there's actual reasons for that. If you see what the big studios are greenlighting, it's got to have intellectual property. It's got to be big. They got to meet their margins on this. So you get these really resourceful filmmakers really pushing boundaries on smaller budgets. And for whatever reason, to me, the genre right now that is getting the most original stuff out there is this genre. I've seen like 7 in the last few weeks, and each one gets better than the previous one. David? The Substance was actually one of these, and traditionally I was worried to tell David about that because, it's kind of gory, visceral in certain instances, but it's also a bit of a comedy. So I put it on David's radar, and he actually saw this. What did you think of this movie, The Substance?
I thought The Substance was outstanding. I reviewed it on a recent Nothing Personal. Let me give you a 2-minute review of that. It's not a horror movie, so I'm curious what genre. You're right. It's the jump horror and the slasher that I won't watch. The Substance, being gory, but that's not. The Substance is about aging, and it's about our view of our looks and Demi Moore basically not wanting to be old anymore because there's a man who's in charge, Dennis Quaid, who says, you're too old to be on TV. So she says, hey, I'll be young again. And all of a sudden out comes Margaret Qualley in one of the great birthing scenes this side of she's having a baby. it is a movie that is well worth watching, and it's well worth watching with people in your life because it will lead to a good discussion about what you would do to continue to look young.
I'd be curious if Samson would like that kind of movie. Samson loves stuff that makes him feel, anything that makes him feel, but this uncomfortable, what would you describe as the most uncomfortable you've been watching a movie, David?
I was uncomfortable watching Seven.
Were you?
Yeah, that is probably my number one least comfortable watch because I'm generally scared anyway. And I just was thinking about all the different ways that bad things can happen. And then the end of that movie, which is not a spoiler alert anymore, I don't believe, I don't know the rules on that.
You're good there.
It's in the box.
Yeah. When there's a head and a butt, you're just thinking, wow, I don't want to watch this. I was very uncomfortable.
I will say that Seven is basically Space Jam compared to the coffee table.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's the darkest premise you can imagine.
I'm telling you, Mike told me about it because I don't watch a lot of stuff, so I was like, go ahead, just give it to me. And it's the only movie I've never seen that I can't stop thinking about.
So I don't even know what it's about, Mike, but I'm going to watch it.
Mike hasn't told us.
Available?
Mike hasn't told us what it's about, and at least in part, I haven't gone searching for it because I don't want to know.
He told me, and you don't want to know. I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
with Chris
part
on this.
of the experience is the shock value too. I knew that it was uncomfortable because I'd heard enough people talk about this, but every time they talked about it, they didn't really give any plot lines to it, and I really appreciated that because it definitely shocks you.
All right, so this was the recommendation of Anthony Jeselnik on South Beach Sessions. He's a dark comedian, and he thought it was a dark comedy. I wanted to ask you about what one of the Farrelly brothers is doing. It seems like the Coen brothers and the Farrelly brothers are not working together anymore. And what are the Farrelly brothers doing? Or what is it Peter?
I think it's Peter that's working on this.
He's doing, Stugotz, your wheelhouse. He's doing something Rocky related.
Ah, yes.
So it turns out that the big underdog story that surrounds Rocky was Sylvester Stallone getting this film made. And the script that he just picked up that he says is brilliant is the making of Rocky and Sylvester Stallone's insistence that he not only write, direct, and star in this film. And the studio, Sylvester Stallone was acting in softcore porn movies. He was basically unhoused at this time. And the studio gives him all sorts of impossible deadlines and budgets because they don't want him to be the star of the film. They pegged another big Hollywood actor to be the star of the film. And there are details like in the scene, they get all the running scenes out in one day, and Sylvester Stallone essentially runs 18 miles in one day, and he gets hospitalized. The scene where he's punching the ribs, that was actually frozen meat. They didn't have time to defrost it. Sylvester Stallone breaks his hands, and it's about persevering, making his life different, getting himself out of that spot while using this underdog as an avatar. The big underdog story is Sylvester Stallone.
The guy who was going to play Rocky was Burt Reynolds. I mean, think about that. Imagine that. What a different movie. Burt Reynolds playing Rocky. Yeah.
So the making of Rocky is a better underdog story than Rocky?
I think there are a lot of movies, and David probably knows this, where I want to find out more about the making of the movie than watch the actual movie. Rocky is one of them. Michael Mann's Miami Vice is one of them. And Face Off, when Nicolas Cage and John Travolta spent 3 days together in a cabin trying to get each other's movements and motions and way of being. That's a great movie.
David, what is your review for the week?
I'm doing this, and I have this rehearsed, so forgive me. I don't normally use notes. Hi, Mike. This is David Samson. I watched your show called The Man on the Inside. I watched it in one sitting, which doesn't make it like a regular television show. It makes it more like a movie, as you stated. I felt something every single episode. Putting together Ted Danson and the rest of that tremendous cast and a story that really touches home to an aging population, people trying to continue to find their relevance and their place as they become less relevant in the workforce and with their families. You managed to weave together a story that will enthrall people and capture people from episode 1 to the finale, which I can't believe opens us up to the possibility of a season 2. And if anybody is smart, which I assume all the streamers are, given your track record, Mike, that show is going to be picked up and your creative juices are going to have to continue flowing. I have no way to give you this review directly because I would have liked to. I asked Dan and Pablo if I could reach out to you, and they both said said, absolutely not. You had no interest in hearing from me because for whatever reason you think we've met. That said, I have to give credit where credit is due, and you are a singular talent in the ability to create, including directing the final episode, a show that will capture the hearts, minds, and imaginations of what I hope will be millions of people. It's called The Man on the Inside.
Well, thank you for those kind words.
You should have said Mike Schur, that you were directing it toward Mike Schur so that people would have understood what you were
About halfway
talking
through,
about.
I was like, oh, I know what he's doing.
It's a passion project.
So here's the backstory on this. David Samson is legitimately bothered and hurt that Mike Schur will not interact with him. And Billy, do you have any thoughts here on how deserved it is that because Samson's just saying, why don't we just all get along? You've never met me.
I mean, if Mike Schur doesn't want to talk to someone, I don't know that it's your place to be giving out his number. I don't know how this works.
Samson keeps wanting me to pass along his praise, and so I do pass it along. But when he wants to talk to Mike Schur doesn't want to talk to him, and then I relay that message back. What am I supposed to do? I've told Samson before, he's an adult. I can't force him to talk to you.
And I'm not upset with you, Dan. I appreciate you trying. I just don't understand. Mike Schur, if he wants to talk to Ariel Helwani or Billy Corbin or other people who before they met me had a problem with me, and then they met me, we spent time together, and everything ended up being fine. Mike's just not willing to do that. And the fact is that I am in contact and know people who also know Mike and who like Mike and also like me. You'd think the transitive property, he'd give me at least a minute. And I understand he's busy, but I could talk art, I could talk sports, I could talk finance, I could talk movies. I'm just interested in also complimenting people when they do great jobs. And Mike doesn't make anything bad. And I just want him to know it. And I thought we were all on the same team, but quite obviously he still doesn't feel that way. But it doesn't stop me or in any way prejudice my review of his stuff, because so many people do that they use a personal issue in terms of a professional result, and I would never let that happen.
You're trying too hard, David. Just let it happen. Like, stop
I've just
talking
started,
about wanting to talk to Mike, meeting Mike. You're just starting. I'm telling you, just let it happen naturally. Eventually, you'll meet him and talk to him.
Play hard to get.
Yeah.
I have a feeler out, actually, that I think I have a way in.
Are you stalking?
What does that mean?
No, that's gross. I do not stalk.
If I could,
I'm not desperate. I don't even want money from him. I don't even want a lot of time from him. I simply want a text response.
Too much, yeah.
You're not desperate. You don't stalk. Did you get those?
Too far.
You get those George Michael glasses so you can put on the same glasses George Michael wore, or what?
I did get those, Billy.
Did you get them?
They have not arrived yet from England, but you didn't ruin it. But I will do this show wearing the George Michael glasses.
You were going to wear them. You were going to unveil them in a week or two.
Correct.
You ruined your surprise.
Yes, he did.
Did you get the license plate?
Yes, I did.
You get everything.
And I may have gotten one other thing, Billy. I may have gotten Elton John sunglasses.
What?
Maybe.
Being a bad father was all worth it in the end. Thank you, David. Because
an absent
Elton John glasses.
Because you can buy the trinkets of famous people. It's okay that you were never around for the kids. It's okay that you're lonely late in life, and then Thanksgiving is something you hate, and you make up trades in order to avoid.
He's not lonely. He has his collection of sunglasses, Dan.
At least at the very end, when you work toward the very end, you have the trinkets of Elton John and George Michael to show.
Set them around the Thanksgiving table.
Hello, Elton.
Provided that you're only there from 4:02 to 5:27.
I've done it all right.
And God forbid that somebody does an end zone celebration Trump dance at a Thanksgiving dinner near you. I'm sure.
Got the remote in hand.
See you later.
See you later, Samson. I don't know what to do about that. His podcast is nothing personal. He wants to talk to Mike Schur. I can only ask so many times. Like, I can't. Mike Schur is being stubborn. Doesn't want to be friends with David.
You're doing a thing, aren't you? That thing that you do
where you're acting like you're trying to help, but you really want to separate them.
No, Samson keeps telling me, send him my regards, and I have to force my regards over there, and then Schur's like, I don't want to talk to him anymore. Like, what do you want me to do?
I've never said send regards. I've always had a purpose for the communication. Not like, hey, how's your day going?
Trying too hard.